Well, hello. How is everybody doing? Andy here from the Residents of Evil. Thank you so much for tuning in to this special live stream of the PlayStation State of Play. We're stepping in for JJ and Corey today. Gang, come on, introduce yourself. How are you feeling today?
Doing good, man. Doing good. As you all know, I'm Tony from the Residents of Evil. Welcome. Hope you guys are having a really strange day to have a state of play. But hey, we're all here and we're having fun, and let's hope for some good things.
Yeah, let's do it. This is Beggy Beg Beg. I am ready to see some cool stuff. Let's go.
Yeah, it feels like this was super impromptu. This has come out of nowhere. I think it got announced yesterday, and we was like, dude, we have to cover it in some capacity. Are we going to have Resident Evil on it? That's to be seen. The insiders are going absolutely crazy on Twitter right now, saying that there's not going to be anything. But I guarantee you, if we didn't cover this event, it would be maybe the biggest reveal in Resident Evil history. I have no doubts. But yes, thank you everybody for tuning in. We're about 20 minutes away from the show. As you can see, we've got the show in the background cooking, waiting to go. Huge shout out to everybody who's popped in. But the question is, gang, are we going to see Resident Evil 9 today? Are we going to see, not just Resident Evil 9, but there's talk about a re-release of older Resident Evils on modern platforms. There's still a lot of scope outside of Resident Evil 9 that could be announced at this show. So initially, what are your thoughts on that, gang?
For Resident Evil 9, I don't really pay much attention to the rumors. I kind of just hope that they're going to continue to do a good job like they have been doing like these last 7 years with a lot of the games that they've produced. And I hope that they've, learned that, hey, people like scary shit. Like, don't skip on the scary and, keep what works for something like RE4 remake, but also keep what works for something like Resident Evil 7.
And yourself, Borg?
I think I've been wrong on the last few reveals for any of these titles, so I'm not betting on myself to be correct. But yeah, I'm definitely here for the ride. As for what I would want to see in terms of what's going to be how it's going to be presented, I definitely want to see, if nothing else, some kind of follow-up with the BSAA and Blue Umbrella situation that was presented at the end of Village. That's kind of the main thing. In terms of characters, I'm down for anyone, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting show. I mean, even outside of Resident Evil, there's talk of a God of War remaster or remake. So we'll see how that. We'll see how it unfolds. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be a 40-minute show, as these state of plays often are. We don't know what to expect. It was dropped super last minute. I don't know. It could be, it could not be. But fortunately, we've got an army of people in the chat who are going to join us on this fantastic adventure. So initially, I just want to say we've got a couple of super chats coming in. Alkanoff coming in with a $2 super chat. Let's go, Rose Squad. Much hype for today. Yova Rods with the super chat. Let's go. Bring in Resident Evil 9 LFG. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. If it happens, I'm going to be absolutely blown away. We've got a new Rose Squad Alpha team member, Giggle Cabbage. Thank you very much. Very kind of you for joining the team. We've got another $2 super chat from Eric. Will they ever release the Resident Evil Classic Collection? Which
I'll be back in just a second.
Yeah, yep. Okay, no worries. That is the. Let me just drop Beggy out for a moment. That is the $1 million question. Are we ever going to have a Resident Evil Classic Collection? Not a GOG release. We really appreciate the GOG release. Really amazing stuff. But we want a modern console release of the classic Resident Evil games. What do you guys think? Do you think is going to happen at some point? We've got a couple more super chats coming in here. The Pimp Limp, member for 32 months, Rose Squad Recruit. Thank you very much, Pimp Limp. Always appreciate your support. Review at Archive USA coming in with Mr. Nice Chai with 5 number Resident Evil gift memberships. Thank you very much, sir. Welcome in. I hope you're enjoying the stream so far. A little bit of an announcement as well, guys. This is the first time we are simulcasting on YouTube and Twitch. for the first time ever, the Residents of Evil is live on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. Tony, if you wouldn't mind popping the the Twitch link in the description, we'll get a little bit of Row Purple hype going on in the chat. So not only do we go live every week on the YouTube channel, we also have Beggy and Tony going live every single week over on Row Purple.
All right, there you go. It's in the chat right there. Twitch.tv/Row Network.
Mav Matt coming in. My good friend, friend, Mav Matt. $5 super chat. We need reverse justice, at least a new online Mercs mode. Very interesting stuff, actually. I'm just going to pull Beggy back in. Very interesting stuff, actually. As we know, I covered it on my own platform, Biohazard Declassified. And yes, Reverse has been cancelled, or it's on its way of being cancelled. What are your guys' thoughts on Reverse being cancelled? Let us know in the chat. Was it a good decision? Was it a case of like, you know, Curly's dog and of mice and men? They're taking it out the back and
I want to pet the rabbits, George.
I get to tend to the rabbits.
Who thought there would be a mice and men reference in this stream? Only on the Residents of Evil. Man, we have got Super Chat Central coming in right now. Kenny Gee, member for 16 months. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Turner coming in with a $5 super chat. I want RE9 and a CV remake. I mean, definitely on board for a Code Veronica remake. I think there's going to be things that they would intrinsically need to change about remake to make it compatible with the modern audience, whether we like it or not. But absolutely, I would want to see a Code Veronica remake. Justin coming in with a $5 super chat. Tony not allowed to take his glasses off until RE9 is revealed new challenge. I'm in full agreement.
Works for me.
Giggle motherfucking cabbage coming in with 5. I repeat, 5 memberships. We got some serious sub hype in the chat, guys. Thank you kindly. Hope everybody's enjoying the stream so far. If you got any questions you want to ask us, fortunately, I can bring it all up on the screen. I'll do my best. I mean, there's so many people in the chat today. I'll do my best to try and comb through them as much as I can. But thank you kindly. Thank you. Get these questions rolling in. Joker's Disciple coming in with a $5 super chat. I want some crazy out left field twist for Resident Evil 9, starring Ark Thompson.
Oh my god.
Yes, starring Hunk. Oh my god. You look familiar.
No way.
But I just can't remember. Ark Thompson. Man, what? I actually really love Survivor.
I love that game too. I'm a big fan. I only played it for the first time like 2 years ago, but I'm pretty big on it. It's really charming.
Just going through the chat here, gang. Is this the first? That's a great question from Kenny. Is this the first live stream where JJ and Corey are both absent? No, we've done podcast streams before, and in the build up to the Keeper's Diary: A Biohazard Story, the single largest Resident Evil crowdfunded film. We did a couple of streams on that didn't have JJ and Corey, but yeah, we appreciate the opportunity, and we're going to do a home run tonight, gang. What are you thinking?
Definitely the first in a little bit, I think. Yeah.
Never in doubt. Never in doubt. We're about 11 minutes off right now, gang. 11 minutes off.
Good stuff. What have you guys been playing lately?
I've been playing a lot of Dead or Alive because I'm doing a retrospective on my channel.
That's right.
So I got the Sega Saturn version. I got the PlayStation 1 version as well. Got like all the versions of that thing. So I've been playing and just having fun, like rediscovering, because I hadn't played the original in like 15 plus years. So it's kind of like crazy to kind of like relearn this shit.
Mm-hmm.
No, I've been as part of like my stream series over on my channel, I've been going through the Silent Hill series for the very first time. Always been a Resident Evil fan, obviously, but never took the time to actually go through the series. So I finished Silent Hill 1 and 2 back into last year. Then obviously the remake come out, so I was spending every Friday playing through that, and I'm just blown away by it. Currently working through Silent Hill 3. It's a bit slower, the start of Silent Hill 3, but I'm starting to come around to it a bit more. I still think, as it stands right now, the Silent Hill 2 remake is probably the best Silent Hill game I've played. But again, I've got so many games to play, so
yeah. I also have yet to experience 3 and 4, but 2 Remake is the one for me that is just nothing reaches that level of atmosphere and chills. Um, just incredible visuals, soundtrack, everything. Like, I think that is definitely my top right now.
Hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
I've played PT as well, but like 3 and then like The Room I still have to get to. But I've been playing Dynasty Warriors Origins like no one's business. That game, if you grew up with that franchise, that game is so creatively layered with its narrative. Its storytelling has got the twists for the longtime fans. It's got new combat mechanics. It's like trying to emulate a little bit of what like Sekiro and like Dark Souls, these kind of titles are doing. They have like a bravery bar, they have like perfect parries, perfect dodges. Like it feels kind of like you're playing Stellar Blade, but like in Dynasty Warriors. And it just, no, it's like I've never had this experience in with playing this franchise before. And if anyone had any good experience with it early on, I highly recommend. It's really, really good.
Yeah, we have in that period of time where Beggy was delivering the monologue of the century. We received some big super chats, so we're just going to quickly rattle through. We've got 10 minutes, gang, before the stream goes live. So thank you for bearing with us. So the Gig Bell Tolls, what glorious name, dropping 5 of those glorious US dollars in the super chat. Honestly, instead of something like REverse, how about a modern take of Resident Evil Outbreak? Under the right dev team, it would be awesome. I'm a big proponent of this. I'm sure the rest of the gang agrees. We definitely need to move towards not the Dead by Daylight clones of Resistance, not PvP, because at the end of the day, and I've said this in private chats, Resident Evil needs to stick to what is good about Capcom needs to stick to what is good about Resident Evil. It doesn't need to go into all of these facets, which other people just do better. There's an old school business adage. If you want to appeal to everyone, you'll end up appealing to no one. So stick to what you're good at, Capcom. AF Watcher coming in with the 199 super chat. Details about the film or just the games tonight? It's all up in the air. This got announced yesterday. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't cover the state of play. I'm hoping we do get some Resident Evil news. It would be nice, but you never know with these things. A lot of the insiders are saying June. Some people say you might be seeing something tonight. It's very hard to tell at this point in time, unfortunately. Mr. Nice Chai coming in with a fiddy. Oh my word. Hey Ro, with the cancellation of REverse, do you think Capcom is preparing for another online RE game, possibly a remake or remaster of Outbreak? Fingers crossed for an RE reveal day. Chat, don't forget to like the stream. Rose Squad Alpha Team. We're currently at 315 likes. If we can reach 500 likes before the stream starts, that will certainly be appreciated. We've got 8 minutes to hit 500 likes. If we can make that happen, that would be fantastic. Mr. Nice Try, thank you kindly. And yes, I'd like to think they are working on something. I think it would be a shame if they're not. There's just so much mileage, especially now in the modern era, of having a Resident Evil 2 remake-esque multiplayer. Imagine that.
Yeah,
oh my
be
god,
interesting. You know, I was just thinking about that because like Village left us with like a really interesting kind of mechanical approach to mercenaries. It's not like full on melee like RE4 remake, and it's not like a little bit limited in options like the earlier entries. It's somewhere right in the middle. And now with like something more action oriented and like a mercenary style or like an outbreak style, it makes you wonder where they're going to land with like 9. Are they going to make it more like Village? Are they going to try to put in some of the melee mechanics, the stuns, the parries that we have in like 4 remake? And it's like, I'm not sure. It's like kind of a difficult decision. Kind of depends on the approach that they take with the next game.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Travi sometimes coming in with a $4.99 super chat. Love you guys. It doesn't go unnoticed the way my boy Tony shows up for all versions of Resident Evil 3. He's the GOAT here for Jill. Can we have a bit of lore background on what this is about?
Oh, it's just I think it's because like I have like every version of Resident Evil 3. And
course, right.
I think I posted like a photo of it or something like that. Like every single version of 3, even like
I think I
the
remember,
old
yeah.
PC version. I have that one as well.
Understood. Jamie coming in with a $2 super chat. I'd love to see the return of Billy Cohen. Are we just is it I'm going to have to look back on my lore of Resident Evil, but is it
Mhm.
lore that he just dies in the forest and he's just never seen again?
I don't think we get confirmation that he dies. I believe he just leaves, right? We just never hear of him again. But I don't think we get any evidence of his death, do we?
Yeah, we don't like
Hmm.
it's just
No, I don't think he died.
I know we've
What?
got the rumor. Oh, he's the nemesis. I don't buy into
Uh,
that for a second.
Nah.
okay.
Again, I'm still in a big. I know JJ spoke about this historically, but I'm a big
Oh, I
believer
know
in
what you're
the.
gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I'm gonna say. I'm a big believer that Billy doesn't exist, and that was just Rebecca's way of mentally dealing with the traumatic experience that was the Ecliptic Express.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was that. That is my law. Is he doesn't actually exist. Agent Veronica coming in with the $5 super chat. Hi, Rose Squad. I was wondering about Resident Evil 9. Leon S. Kennedy is going to help the Wolfhound Squad, aka BSAA. I'll leave that to Beggy to come up
Ooh,
pontificate on.
if we look at like the recent interactions, it depends on if you want to pick up from like the CG films, Chris and Leon interactions, or you want to pick up on like Resident Evil 6, because they're not on the best of terms, but obviously the CG films try to like mend the bridges between all the characters. We just saw Leon and Jill kind of get together. So that's kind of up in the air of like what exactly are the relationships between the core four characters right now. If you look at like the end of Infinite Darkness, for example, Leon and Claire ending on a bit of a sour note. They disagree on what to do with their scenario at the end of Infinite Darkness. Chris and Leon, you have to kind of consider like where people's motives are. Is there going to be an Ada, a real Ada, or a clone Ada, Carla Radams, in the picture this time that's going to like make things really hairy and spark up that conflict? So it really depends on the context. It doesn't seem like Leon is really very big in the picture right now. He's not very involved in anything that's going on with the Bakers, Blue Umbrella, BSAA later in the series, like 7 and 8. So that's a good question. We'll have to see. And Chris
Yeah.
just keeps showing up, right? He's like
Yeah, of
six,
course.
5, 6, 7, 8, but Leon's like just still on 4, right? So, or he was in 6. Yeah, that's true.
For sure. For sure. Armando has dropped two number $5 super chats, hoping for an RE1 remake on a newer RE engine. Also, what are your thoughts about Sony? Speaking about a new possible RE movie, we have actually just dropped I dropped a video on the row yesterday, just talking about Zach Kreger becoming the director of the new proposed Resident Evil film. We don't know what that looks like right now. There's been a lot of rumors circulating online. There's been a lot of scripts circulating online that allude to what it could be. But I'd like to know, what do you guys think? Are we going to see a reboot of the films again? Are we going to see a closer to game adaptation of Resident Evil? It's all to play for. The new director is Zach Kreger. You'll probably know Zach Kreger from directing the Barbarian movie, which was kind of like a low budget horror film, but big returns at the box office. So if I'm Constantine, I'm looking at this like an opportunity to save a little bit of cash, but really, really start to try and explode at the box office. But again, it's Constantine. We don't know what they're going to do with Resident Evil. The last couple of attempts have been a bit underwhelming. So once again, guys, this is the first time we're ever going live on YouTube and on Twitch, both platforms, Row Network. So if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to jump over to Purple, drop us a follow. That'll certainly be appreciated. Guys, we are close. We are 2 minutes away from the state of play.
Let's do it. What do you think of I haven't seen Barbarian yet, but I want to, and I want to get like a grasp for his sort of style approaching like horror filmmaking. What are your, have you guys seen it?
Nope.
I watched it when it first came out.
Okay.
But it was one of them, like I can't even remember what it was about, to be honest.
Okay.
But I remember it being very critically acclaimed.
Mm-hmm.
Just from a resource element, you know, just
like what you do with
again,
what,
low. I say low budget. It was still a couple of million, but low budget, but high performance at the box office. Amazing. We officially just crossed 1,000 viewers here on the stream. Welcome in, everybody. Andy and the Rogue Gang here. We're going to be talking all things state of play as it's happening. You're going to get our live reactions. If you would be so kind as to drop a like, I'd love to hit 1K likes on the stream today. That would certainly be appreciated.
Yep. We're already at 428 likes right now, guys. So if you can, please hit that thumbs up because it helps the video out a ton. Plus, it also lets us know what you guys like to see as well. All right, we're in about 1 minute and 40 seconds. Hell yeah.
1,000 likes before the event starts, and I gift out 5 members. Who is that? Because it just says row on my side.
What?
Have we got a phantom?
I think that's JJ or Corey.
Oh, let's fucking go.
Yeah, I think.
Let's fucking go.
I'm pretty
Great
sure.
news. Great news. Well, welcome in if you're tuning in. We are just about to be going live here in just a moment. Again, this all come together so last minute. So we had to this primarily the reason why our esteemed fearless leader JJ isn't in the stream today. It's just because of the timing. There was just no time to prepare. So we wanted to cover it for you guys, give our analysis, even if there's no Resident Evil. So man, we've even got the notepad and pen here. It's going to be a fun one.
Go ahead, Becky.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say I'm seeing Onimusha 2 HD release date in chat, and I'm excited to hear more information. Hopefully we get a 3 as well. 2 and 3 are incredible games in the Onimusha series. Like everything that you want with the combat is just ramped up so significantly from the first one. I'm so happy that's happening, and hopefully we get one for 3 announced as well. So.
Couple of little donations just before we go live. Armando with the gifted sub, joining the Row Squad Alpha team, and Mr. Nice Try coming in with a $20 super chat. Thank you very much. We are going to be jumping in to the state of play. Let me know how the audio levels are, guys. Let me take this off screen. Capcom.
Holy shit, guys. Thanks for the jump like. Holy shit, we're up to 543. Thank you.
Let's go. Let's keep that like roll going.
See, like, this is what Capcom needs to learn about, is that this game here is what Resident Evil Outbreak can be.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, like, this is, like, it's the same thing. A squad of friends coming in and playing and hunting monsters. A squad of friends going in and going through different scenarios in Raccoon City. It's literally, like, it's been here. Monster Hunter World has been fucking killing it, and all the other games that have come out after are just selling big numbers.
If you're just tuning in, guys, you've just started the state of play. So grab a drink. It's about a 40-minute show. We'll give our analysis as we're going through it. Welcome into the Residents of Evil.
Stand witness to how its existence unfolds.
Monster Hunter Wilds. So I'm actually not a Monster Hunter fan. I've never played it. Maybe at some point I will try it. It's on the radar right now.
It's fun, but it's like a lot of grinding, and honestly, playing by yourself is a bit tedious. It's kind of tough by yourself. It's really more of a thing you do need a team for, and it's so much fun. Like the crazy, wild shit that happens. Because I've played a lot of Monster Hunter World with my friends, and it was great.
Just turned up the audio just a tad. Let just everybody in the chat, if you can give us a little bit of a steer.
皆さんこんにちは。モンスターハンターワイルズプロデューサーの辻本です。無料タイトルアップデート第1弾の追加モンスターとして玉三つが決定いたしました。この他にもタイトルアップデート第1弾で追加されるコンテンツはまだありますが、詳細は改めてお知らせしたいと思っております。本作は発売後に数回のタイトルアップデートを予定しています。タイトルアップデート計画については追ってお知らせしますので、今後の情報にご期待ください。 2月28日の発売まであと少し。皆様に楽しんでいただけることを心よりお待ちしております。本日の発表は以上となります。引き続きステートオブプレイをお楽しみください。
Ooh, Sega.
Oh,
Sega.
Sega. Oh,
Forged to
what is
unleash
this?
vengeance.
Oh, is this a beat 'em up?
More than a weapon.
Is this Shinobi?
It is the
No
Maybe.
way! No,
It might
no
be Sega
way!
Shinobi, yeah.
Fucking Shinobi. I didn't know when the last Shinobi game we had. I remember the originals, obviously.
no obstacle can stand in their way.
Ooh, this would be good.
Soaring where others would not dare.
The team that
I
worked
like
on
that.
Streets of Rage 4 did fucking amazing, and this looks
Yeah.
even better than that game.
Striking with lethal precision.
Oh, I am on board.
I'm
Just
loving this
the
art
The
style,
tool.
man.
Each tool a part of the whole.
I love games that have this
This is
artistic
the
style
master of Shinobi.
versus realistic games.
Yo, this might be a day one buy for me.
The legend continues.
I was
Amazing.
right!
Oh,
Yeah.
love that. Love
Right off the
that.
bat. Wow.
Art of Vengeance.
We're getting so many ninja games this year, it's insane. Like
Right.
3 Ninja Gaiden games this year, too.
Ghost of Yote coming.
Oh, Sonic?
The Samurai stuff.
Oh! I still don't understand the need for a Sonic racing game.
Is this the Sonic Unleashed or whatever it's called, is it?
Sega All-Star Racing, I think it was called.
That's it, yeah. It's on PlayStation 3, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it started there on the PS3. There's been 2 games, this must be a 3rd one. And I love Sonic games, I'll probably get it, but... Racing up a dinosaur.
Remember, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, make sure you drop a like. We are currently sitting at 602. If we can get to 1,000 by the end of the stream, that'd be amazing.
Man, the music's really fucking good, too. Sonic Racing Crosswords.
Ah, to be fair, Mario Kart's had such a stranglehold on that market share. Probably
Right.
does need a bit of competition.
Very true.
Those games are good. I think Double Dash is still my favorite Mario Kart.
Lots of stuff that's a good one. Oh, everything just died.
Thomas the Tank Engine, the game.
to turn the gears of time once again.
An apocalypse looms over parallel worlds as their fates begin to intertwine.
So...
The battle to alter destiny begins. Embark on a journey alongside gods, heroes, and monsters of bygone eras. The anomalies known as Digimon.
What?
Digimon.
They're making another? Damn,
I did not expect that.
that's fucking crazy.
Seize the future
This Bloodborne remake's looking a bit different.
together. The story of a bond that transcends time.
A
Crazy.
tale of swords and souls eternally retold. Instead of
Soul
just turn.
Calibur. 2025, time. Jesus, man. People love those games.
大家好，我是《输入之魂》的创作者杨斌。从一名独立开发者到今天与 PlayStation 携手，这一路走来已历经10年。 输入之魂结合了流畅爽快的战斗体
And
验
it's been 10
与丰富
minutes
多
and
样
we've
的
had
世界设
5
计。
games.
玩家将在各具
Yeah, it's
风格
only
的
supposed to be a
场景中
40-minute
探索，面对充满个性的敌人
event, I believe.
同时
Yeah.
与有趣的角色互动，逐步揭开精彩的故事。接下来，我非常激动地向大家展示全新的游戏预告，并正式确认游戏的
Yeah,
发
if
布日期。
Bloodborne shows up in any way, shape, or form, I will put in 5 gift subs.
Oh, do you know what? I'll probably do the same thing.
I keep having
okay.
the
I
same
saw
dream.
Stony. I'm like, wait, what?
A horrible dream. Where monsters invade our world. A powerful being falls from the sky. And when it seems they might vanquish the invaders, the dream ends. Is this really just a dream? My only hope lies with you.
Lost Souls, Becky. Oh,
Come, Kaiser. We will travel across worlds, leap through dimensions, together.
this narrator is the voice of like next of like Peter Cullen and fucking Sean Connery.
I see great power within you, a destiny waiting to be fulfilled.
Knock off Final Fantasy, like
I was gonna ask if this was made by Square Enix or not.
It feels like it.
Let me be your vengeance. The blade in your hand.
Its combat does look a little bit like FF16.
I was gonna say, yeah, it does.
Perfect dodges, yeah.
You never wanted to be a hero. But for humanity's sake, you must.
Then give me your power, Arena.
Lost Souls
Lost
aside.
Soul aside.
All right. Looks very
Fair
Final
enough.
Fantasy.
Hi everyone, I'm Sean Benson. We've got several updates today from partners around the world,
Oh, here we go.
starting with news from the Like a Dragon series.
Ooh,
Yakuza.
First up, a playable demo of Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii arrives on
Oh.
PS5 this Friday.
This looks crazy. I saw the
Players can
trailer.
try out 2 battle styles, including Goro Majiba's new Sidon style, as well as engage in naval battles at the Pirates Coliseum.
Fair enough.
the Yakuza games are so fucking balls to the wall crazy, man.
Sega
Oh,
and
wow.
Mid-Rocket joined forces in Ichiban's Holiday, a new crossover DLC coming to Dave the Diver.
Oh shit! What?
Ichiban,
Bash is gonna be
Kasuga,
happy
and other
for
Like a
Dave the
Dragon
Diver stuff.
characters team up to thwart a gang of troublemakers in classic beat-em-up style, all while perfecting new recipes at
Amazing.
Bancho Sushi. Dave the Diver Ichiban's Holiday arrives this April on PS5 and PS4.
Nice.
The Splitgate 2 alpha begins February 27th on PS5.
I
I
don't
didn't
know.
know there was a split
Use
date.
portals and futuristic physics to dominate the arena.
This is basically
and play
like a
new
mix between
24-player
Halo
mode
and
where
Portal.
3
I was
teams
gonna
compete
say,
on
yeah.
a massive map.
Interesting. I don't even remember the first one, honestly.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. I'm here to give you an exclusive first look in the future of the WWE 2K franchise. Introducing The Island. With The Island, players enter an online environment filled with WWE-themed landmarks, quests,
What is this,
live
bro?
events,
What,
and
build your
shops
own wrestler
with
kind
up
of
to
thing? Like,
50 other
It's
players
Street Fighter
at a
6 World
time.
Tour, but for WWE.
right?
Island
It
Yeah.
does.
also offers
Everything's got an online hub now.
customization,
This is crazy.
giving players
Yeah,
the chance to personalize their My Superstars
Okay, I'm actually
like
kind of
never
interested. in
before.
This
I
might be
like these
fun,
kind of
yeah.
things.
Just me, ooh.
as the first of its kind for the franchise. The Island is not just an addition, it's a bold step toward the
I
future.
mean, I screen this, but you can't see me, you know?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Island.
That's gonna be interesting.
It's basically Lucha Underground mode for WWE. What it is.
reveal.
Oh, Borderlands.
Sup? I'm Randy from Gearbox.
And I'm Randy from Gearbox.
And you know why we're here. We're here for you. Are you ready? It's 2025, and every day we are getting closer to the launch of Borderlands 4.
This is a day one buy for me. Easy.
What was the last Borderlands game we had?
There was 3, and then there was Tina's like Wonderland or whatever. Tiny
They had,
Tina's something.
Yeah, the Tales from the Borderlands. Yeah. Maybe it was the Walking Dead like Tales. I think that's the one.
The last main one was 3 was in like 2019.
Jesus. Like forever ago.
For BL3, yeah.
It's good to see that horrible live action adaptation movie they did for the franchise.
Do you know what? I didn't even want to watch
watched
it. I saw the reviews and I was like, I'm dipping out of here. I've been scarred enough from Resident Evil.
No, apparently from my friends who are really big into the community and stuff like that, they said it was an atrocity.
Wake up
Yeah.
and I'm feeling like a punk.
I think the second game is still like easily the best
I want more.
in
We don't have
Borderlands.
to wait long now. Borderlands 4 is going to break free for a special state of play.
Quick one,
this
guys. We've got
spring,
1,500
focused
people in the chat
exclusively on
today.
Borderlands 4.
If you could kindly
We're diving
like the
deep, you
stream,
guys. Join
that would
us.
certainly be
Borderlands
appreciated.
4,
We want to get to
state
as
of
many
play for
people as we can
combat,
today.
Vault hunters, action skills, exploration and discovery, everything. You're going to see more guns than you can even count. All on PlayStation 5.
I like guns. I'm
Randy, do you have
American. I
anything
like
else
guns.
for us?
I think I do, Randy.
Well, what is it? Don't hold out on me, Randy.
I'll feed you, baby bird. Who wants a launch date for Borderlands 4?
Oh,
Well, Borderlands 4 launches worldwide for everyone on September
nice.
23rd, 2025.
We got work to do.
See you in spring.
oh no.
This, when you see that name, you're just like,
I don't mean to be rude, but I really don't do small talk. Nice to meet you too.
Let's get some like hype in the chat. I want to see everybody smashing it. If everybody likes the stream, we've passed our goal.
If we don't start to trust each other. I don't need your trust. Well, I kind of need yours. 2, 1,
those look like knockoff
I
Mega
took
Man armor.
inspiration for this story.
I
from when
did,
me
yeah,
and
I
my
was gonna
sister
say
were
that.
younger.
Look
Wait.
at all of this.
It's
Is this one
I base the story around my
the It
dad.
Takes
All
Two
I can
director's
do
next
is
project?
write
Is that
this
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
story.
Okay. This
We'll
might be
face
really
it
good.
Together. We got this.
It Takes
Yeah.
2, Part 2.
Yeah.
Follow my lead. Are you for real?
770 likes. All right, guys, keep it going. We're almost there. Come on, guys.
Child, were you?
Hands above your head.
What now? I did not sign up for this. Brace yourself, Zoe!
Remember, guys, we want to hear your thoughts after the stream. We're going to be pulling comments up on the screen. If you've got any analysis or insight you want to discuss with us, drop a comment in the chat. Oh, did that just say the quarry? Oh, such massive games. What is this?
Space.
Space. No one can hear you eat ice cream or whatever the saying is.
Status report. Looks like it penetrated through there. We need to inspect the hull damage first.
Doesn't look too bad.
Doesn't look too good either. What is that? You feeling all right?
My body's going one way and my mind's going another.
What is that? This ship is infected with an alien organism. It still doesn't feel real sometimes.
Never forget why you started.
Big Callisto Protocol vibe.
A little bit, yeah. I just played that again, by the way.
I love that. I love
With the
it.
DLC last night.
We can't take any
Did you play it all?
Yeah.
It can manipulate
I love
its
the
physical
sledgehammer.
appearance.
Love it.
It's
Yeah.
changing its cellular structure.
satisfying.
It's replicating the human form. It's replacing us.
I know this will be difficult to hear, but if you're still out there, you deserve the truth.
Whoa! Like the aliens and the thing, you know? Directive 8020, that looks fucking sick. What do you think, guys? Directive 8020, that's the real first horror game we've had at this stream.
A
so
Dark
far.
Pictures game. This is the game that made the like choose an option anthology, like Man of Medan and House of Ash. Those are pretty fun to play with your friends.
Let me explain the situation.
Oh god,
Five Nights at Freddy's has gone missing, leaving our property abandoned in his warehouse. Your job is simple. Enter the warehouse and retrieve the technology that he was developing for us. It's a kind of prototype
Five Nights at
endoskeleton that
Freddy's
can
or some
adapt to any
variant.
costume and become any character. We suspect it may be malfunctioning, so just be aware of the slim but non-zero chance that you could sustain significant injuries while attempting to retrieve it, including but not limited to death or dismemberment. We fully expect the retrieval process to go smoothly and without incident. But just in case, we suggest you get your affairs in order before arriving.
Back to work.
Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for damage to property or person. Thank you for being a valued member of the Fazbear team.
Damn. Not too far away.
Greetings from Moonhood. We're the creators of the Midnight Walk, cozy horror game created entirely in clay, where you will journey down a nightmarish highway riddled with terrors that want to devour you and your little lantern creature, Hot Boy.
Together with your little friend, you must outsmart these terrors and bring back fire to this mad world we've handcrafted for you.
So please enjoy this short gameplay preview.
After the end of the world, the burnt one woke from a deep slumber.
What an interesting art style.
Fire? I'd almost forgotten how it felt. You're the caretaker of this little firecracker? I reckon you must be headed for Moon Mountain.
Hey yo,
Am
what?
I right?
I just realised the IGN stream, they're streaming their own Twitch. I've never seen that before.
To host this?
I'll explain in a minute. But basically, IGN are stream recording their own Twitch show. Very bizarre.
Okay.
Oh, that wasn't my stream buffering, that was their stream buffering.
Okay.
Midnight War. Oh, what an interesting art style.
Very Tim Burton-like. Yeah, kind of is.
Mm-hmm. That looks good.
Love that. Moonhood.
Special thanks to Klaus and Olaf for that
Shit's on
updated
VR
look
as
at the
well.
Midnight Walk. Up next, a quirky new adventure from Konami.
This is from Konami?
In Darwin's Paradox, you play as Darwin, a clever octopus who finds himself dumped near a highly suspicious food processing center. Use Darwin's natural camouflage and inking skills to escape the facility and save the world from aliens.
This is cute.
What an interesting title.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to avoid winning the Darwin Award by dying and removing
We're
himself from the
excited
gene
to
pool.
reveal a brand new title from Koei Tecmo Games and Omega
Oh, there you go,
Force.
Beggy.
Warriors
cool.
Abyss, a roguelite spin on the Warriors franchise.
Oh, they're making a roguelite of it. Okay.
This looks good.
Yeah, Origins is just, it's so good.
Descend into hell. Call on powerful allies. And experiment with tons of playstyle combinations to send the enemy hordes flying.
I've been told by my source that if you like the stream, the odds of Resident Evil appearing go up.
A roguelite hell awaits when Warriors Abyss launches on PS5 and
smash
PS4
that like
later
button.
today.
Here we go.
For whom are you
Onimusha 2.
working? I won't forgive you.
Remastered.
Prepare yourself.
A PS2 era classic returns with Onimusha 2: Samurai's Destiny.
Hell yeah.
Capcom is enhancing the original game with HD graphics and a host of quality of life features, including fine-tuned analog controls.
I think they're
Immerse
using the
yourself in
same
Jude's
camera that
hard-boiled
they used
journey
in Resident Evil 1
and
remake.
fight through a world of
where
turmoil
it kind of
alongside trusty
scrolls.
allies.
It was in that
Equal, I
era.
think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Onimusha 2: Samurai's
bit
Destiny
dynamic.
comes to PS4 on May 23rd and will be available for pre-order later today. Looking to 2026, let's check out a new trailer for Capcom's
Hell yeah.
latest
Oh
entry
my
in the
gosh, another
series,
one? Let's
Onimusha:
go.
Way of the Sword.
Again, Capcom just dominating.
Let's go.
this state of play.
They do. They just keep making good release after good release. I mean, they really haven't had a stinker in years.
This is just my most anticipated game right now.
Oh, this is on the RE engine.
I think so. Yeah. The Samanosuke looked really good in the previous trailers. Oh, it's Musashi? It's not Samanosuke? Or maybe the one from the first trailer was. Interesting.
強さの証明だろ勝てばそれでいいてめえらごときがいくら束になってこようがやべえ
Interesting. Wow. This seems like a new enemy. Big hairy one.
気合い入れすぎだろ
Wow. It was. I want to talk about this later.
ご無事で何よりです。
お前なんだ
No way.
Oh damn, 2026.
Yeah. 2026.
We got the other one coming out this year, so.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Metal Gear!
Let's
Oh,
go.
Colonel, tighten the security on this place.
I am so psyched for this.
Let's
He's coming
fucking
here.
go.
I'm sure of it.
CQC, motherfucker.
America is out to destroy
Let's
the
get some hype in the
Shadow
chat
Body
for Metal
with
Gear
its
Solid
hands
3.
on your inheritance.
Snake
Delta.
Eater.
The philosopher's legacy.
Yeah.
Then they're out
We
to
got
kill me as
1,800
well.
people watching right now, guys. Thank you so much. Please make sure to hit that
What's
like
the
button
story
and get us to
between
1,000
you and
likes.
Boss?
We'll be
Yeah, let's get to 1k likes, man. MGS is on the stream. There's no reason why we cannot get
The
to
Cobras will take
1k
care of you.
likes. 140 likes. Let's make it happen, gang. Let's see some MGS hype in the chat.
Snake,
Look at the end. The end looks so creepy in this version.
sons of the boss.
I see it.
The fear.
The fear.
A great and terrible fury at being alive.
This boss fight's gonna be a bitch.
Host of
Yeah.
sorrows.
What a thrill.
Are one of them.
Why'd you come back? There's nothing for you here. Go home. Go back to your boss.
But I still have the Shagohod and the legacy.
I think it's weird that they're using the original game audio and not like new actors. I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, I'm not complaining. I love the original voice actor. Like,
Finished yet.
Let's go.
this is gonna be so damn good.
Looks really good. Ocelot's looking dope.
August, baby. Ooh.
28th of August, MGS3. Oh, I was going to say we're going to have the AP Escape thing.
That's right.
Amazing.
That's gotta be awesome. That was a fun little mode they threw in back in the day.
Let's go.
September 28th. Okay.
Loving that. Now, what is this?
When the fury of emotions sparks the wildfire of violence.
What is this?
Those are illusions and exposes the fragile structure of reality.
I have 1,000 questions. Why did you come back?
I stood in the home I was born in. In that moment, I felt a connection.
Epsilon 11, sound off. Where are my men?
They're gone.
Choose your next move wisely.
What is this? This looks amazing. Yo, what's the Volchinian thing about?
What happened here? Madness and hatred and lots of it. Impossible. It's you. You must continue. We've begun to uncover.
Does it have a
Hell
name?
is
Hell
us.
is
That's
us.
amazing.
Interesting.
I think we saw like a couple trailers for this previously.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen something to do with that. That looked really good. Neo Wiz. I'm pretty sure I've seen this before.
This is what is that game called?
How can it be winter all of a sudden?
I'm sorry. You want to know the year?
What a pleasure to meet a stalker worthy of the name. It's been far, far too long.
Yeah, Liza P. Thank
My
you.
forever friend, help me to hold your hand and dance.
You're not the puppet I was expecting. Who are you?
She was looking for someone. Legendary. She stepped up only because no one else could. Too many stalkers were lost to that evil.
Go.
I'll do whatever it takes.
Kind of like a Neo
Your
Souls-like.
survival is all that matters. Nothing else comes close, not even my life. I swear I won't be late. Not again.
Overture.
I wasn't sure if that game sold well enough to get DLC, but I'm glad it looks like I was wrong.
I don't know where I came from or how I was made. That's me. Then once in a lifetime.
The fuck?
Suddenly MP5. That's absurd. What is this?
Fucking rocket launcher.
We don't know where our children will put down roots.
Dreams of Another.
This is cool.
It's like an interesting little title.
And a lot of games got shown today, actually.
And they're not dragged
Yeah.
out either,
皆
which
さ
is
んこん
even
にち
better.
は。Q ゲームスのクリエイティブディレクターのバイオンです。私の最新作ドリームオブサナザーはいかがですか。
Remember, guys, if you are in
使いなくしてそうならないというテーマの
yes,
もと、ドリームオブ
it's
サナザーで
absolutely
は
crazy.
シューティングゲームの
Remember, guys,
常
if you
識を覆
are
す体
enjoying
験
the
がで
stream
きます。
today, We're the Residents of Evil, the single largest survival horror resource on YouTube. So if you're enjoying the stream, make sure you drop a cheeky follow, and we'd really appreciate if we can get to 1,000 likes today. We are 50 away from 1,000 likes. That'd be appreciated.
PS5 登場予定で、本日からウィッシュリストへの追加ができます。ありがとうございました。
Hey everyone,
Literally
I'm
just
Kristen
broke 2K.
Tatami, and I'm excited
2K
to share
viewers
even
on the
more
stream
PlayStation
today.
news
Thanks,
in today's
everyone.
show.
Oh my fucking
Days Gone.
God!
Days Gone Remastered. The definitive version of Ben Studios'
All right,
post-apocalyptic
everybody go out and
open-world
fucking
epic
buy this
comes
game
to
so we get a
PS5,
goddamn
VR
sequel.
support, and PS5 Pro support.
Holy shit!
It also includes
Ooh!
added content like permadeath and speedrun modes, an enhanced photo mode,
Fuck
new
yeah, photo
accessibility
mode!
features, and Horde Assault.
What
a
is going
survival
on?
arcade mode with increased horde sizes that will provide a fresh way to experience
Oh, that's
Days Gone.
dope.
Oh my
And if
God!
you purchase Days Gone,
Business
I'm
with
playing
this
through this
discount,
game
you
again.
can upgrade to a digital version of Days Gone Remastered and get all the content and features for $10.
That's great. They're still doing the $10
Days Gone
upgrade.
Remastered launches on PS5 April 25th.
My birthday month. Let's go.
Oh,
new DLC is coming to Stellar Blade this June. The
I like
sci-fi
it.
action game is partnering with Goddess
I'm
of
for it.
Victory Nike on a new boss battle, collectible dolls and stickers, plus a new
What's
outfit.
Westport Blade stuff? Yes. Make the Western journalists angry. Yes.
Both the Nike DLC and
More
the PC version
Stellar
of Stellar
Blade.
Blade launch this June.
That game is really good.
We've got some great PlayStation Plus updates today, starting with game catalog titles
Is it actually
arriving on
online?
February 18th. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Top Spin 2K25, and launching in a game catalog, Lost Records Bloom and Rage, from the creators of Life is Strange.
Did you girls ever see anything weird around these parts?
In this episodic adventure, players will join 4 high school girls living through the defining summer of their lives. What begins as a tale of friendship will eventually blend reality, dreams, and the unknown into a dual timeline narrative.
And we hit over 1K.
The first episode of Lost Records Bloom
1K
and Rage
in the chat.
arrives
Thank you,
February
everyone.
18th, with the
I'll be
second
getting- I'm
episode
getting
arriving in
5
April.
episodes right now.
Man, there is so much to go over.
We're also
after this.
excited to confirm 2
Yeah.
unique indie titles that will launch into game catalog later this year. Explore a mysterious mansion in Blueprints, a genre-bending
More like
architectural
exploring
adventure.
a suspicious mansion in Resident Evil. Come on! Tony with
Door
a
is
cheeky
new
5 in
decision
the
as you
chat.
build
Let's
out a
go.
sprawling manor with 45
Thank you
shifting
kindly.
rooms, adding layers of strategy, puzzles, and exploration. Blueprints launches day 1 into game catalog this spring. Abiotic Factor is a 6-player survival crafting game from Playstack and Deep Field Games. Stranded miles beneath the surface, you and a team of scientists must craft ingenious gear and traps to outwit your enemies and make this bizarre underground complex your new home. Abiotic Factor will be available in game catalog when it launches this summer.
Game catalog. So is that like Game Pass?
Now let's get a sneak peek at games coming to the PlayStation Plus
Probably.
Classics catalog.
Oh! What we got coming up?
Coming soon
Come
are
on.
the first 3 Armored Core titles from the original
Oh!
PlayStation. Armored Core Project
Yeah.
Phantasma,
Let's
and Armored
go!
Core Master of Arena.
First one doesn't.
Please.
Meanwhile, Patapon 3 slides its way into the Classics
Come on,
catalog
please.
next week.
Resident Evil.
No! Where's Resident Evil 2 and
No
3?
one knows how that world came into being.
Fuck. Oh, London.
It devoured everything from the
Accurate
past.
representation of what it looks like right now.
Only I was left.
Wait.
That was a fatal mistake.
This Heavenly Sword? Or...
I was about to say the same thing.
It's the aura of the Grail pieces. I can
Mate,
sense
no
it.
English person sounds like that.
As long as it is reforged.
I'm offended.
Clearly didn't get proper
My
English
wish can be
people for it.
fulfilled. But wishes come at a price. To pursue one's wishes is to court one's doom.
Like Shadow of the Colossus type shit.
A little bit, yeah.
IGN can't handle the hype. Lagging.
This is a feast only for the king. You can't escape from your doomed fate.
Gwendolyn, this is your final warning.
Damn.
It's a bit like Stellar Blade as well.
My quarrel lies not with you, but I will take back everything that belongs to me. Even if the price is my soul.
Tides of Annihilation.
The table is dead. It exists no more.
I can't even spell Annihilation. Fuck. Oh! Oh, you lost me.
Stellar Ring.
How do you feel?
It's funny.
Is something bothering you?
Just some noise in my core.
Deep down in the depths of Vulcan.
Yeah, it could be Marathon.
Retrieve the Architect's core.
This is Hunk's voice actor.
Is it?
He's still.
They will send everything they have to stop us.
You know I would never want to see you hurt. But the path we walk demands the extreme.
So is this thing
I
trying
remember
to
you.
Run away.
Metal Eden. Oh, my daughter's Metal Eden. I mean,
Well, now you have to get it and play with her.
yeah, exactly. Makes sense.
My memory's still a bit blurry. Remember this. DS! Showtime! I have these gaps inside my head. Satellite gives us a 10-minute window. You made it. That's just leftover hardware. It's been decommissioned. What the hell is that? All I know is that Silvercorp is a piece of my story.
It's it.
I'll cover you. All this time you just wanted answers about the tech in your head? Are you kidding me? This thing has ruined my life.
You have no idea who you're dealing with.
That's Crypto's actor.
We should have left you in the desert.
This is not the first time we've had a fatal error with your tech. DS, make it stop! Make it stop! I know what I have to do. This is the only way.
Mind's Eye.
Mind's Eye.
Hello, I'm Leslie Benzies, director of Mind's Eye, Builder Rocket Boy's new action-adventure set in the fictional city of Red Rock, where AI and human greed collide to bring Earth to the precipice of collapse. All captured on PlayStation 5 Pro. We're now proud to share some gameplay footage with the explosive combat and high-octane driving that you can expect on PlayStation 5 later this year.
Don't sound too enthusiastic about it. This is a very weird game.
Yeah.
Like GTA, but like
a lot going on.
It reminds me of Watch Dogs actually a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
GTA Cyberpunk.
Tires are out. Proceeding on foot. I'm coming to
This
you
might be
now.
the last game, guys.
The search and
Looking
rescue
at the time.
They gotta have one more big one.
They're attacking us.
Okay.
I think I have one more thing to blow us away with.
Oh, it's got a war. It's got to be.
Gotta be God of War. Boy.
Yeah.
Always comes back to this.
Is it?
I don't know.
That don't look like Kratos.
Doesn't look like it. No.
That's super
Doesn't look
young
like Chris
Kratos.
Redfield either.
Is that Rahul Kohli, the actor? I think it is.
Oh, what, from iZombie?
This choice.
Mhm.
Is he not iZombie? Yeah. That just looks like him.
Helldivers?
Oh yeah, it could be. I didn't think about that.
Helldivers Super Democracy Edition.
It's PlayStation Studios. Must be a new IP.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it's a new IP then.
Then everything begins again.
Dino Crisis 3 remake.
Who said
After
that?
every death,
Get him out of here.
Hey.
I always come back stronger.
Just throw myself out.
I know that you are here, and I will find you.
Okay, Liam.
Saros.
Looks intense.
I'm gonna need to see some gameplay.
Okay. I mean, fair enough.
Hey everyone, I'm Gregory Loudon, Creative Director at Housemarque. We are thrilled to announce that our latest game, Saros, is launching next year on PS5 and enhanced for PS5 Pro. Saros is the ultimate evolution of the Housemarque gameplay-first experience. It's a new single-player IP that builds on Returnal's award-winning third-person action. You play Arjun Devraj, performed by the brilliant Rahul Kohli.
There you go.
Arjun is a
Yeah,
powerful enforcer searching for answers on a hostile, shape-shifting planet haunted by an ominous eclipse. All of us at Housemarque can't wait to share more about Saros, with our first look at gameplay coming later this year. Thanks for watching.
Fair play. I mean, I'll get into my comments in a minute. There was a lot in this, gang. It wasn't what we wanted. It wasn't what we wanted, but there was a lot. There's a lot here, gang. There's a lot of games coming out, which is amazing. But yes, unfortunately, no more Resident Evil, unfortunately. But what we can take away from this, I'm going to mute these dudes. What we can take away from this is that June-July show for Capcom is going to be a banger for Resident Evil. We have to get Resident Evil news this year. The drought has been too long. There has to be something. I can't see them going another year without showing anything. I can't see it.
Something, maybe even like the announcement of like a CG film or something to promote like in the meantime. We'll have to see. Might be. Yeah,
or even like, get Zach Kreger out there, saying, oh yeah, I'm part of the film and we're going to make it super amazing, super accurate,
Maybe.
I would like to see that. But initially, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. I think we peaked at like 2,500 viewers, which is absolutely insane. Just want to say thank you all so much for tuning in. If you're not familiar with who we are, we're the Residents of Evil, Resident Evil survival horror content creators, one of the largest on YouTube. If you enjoyed the stream so far, obviously make sure you hit the like button and, of course, subscribe. We're also live on Twitch. So if you're watching it on YouTube, we're also live on Twitch. Feel free to jump on over there. It's the same handle, Row Network. Drop a follow as well. But yeah, there was a lot of games here, man. I'm not underwhelmed, actually. Like, there's been a couple of like state of plays.
Some goodies.
Where I've been like, man, this is terrible. Like, it's not terrible. It's just a lot of indie games that don't really appeal to like a wider audience. But man, there was banger after banger here, to be honest.
Yeah, I was into it.
Interesting.
Oh my gosh.
I think Dusk Golem said that there wasn't going to be an Onimusha remake.
Yep.
And then there ended up being one.
You know what though? What
Or
I'm
remastered.
understanding now, if you take apart the pieces that we got in just this new trailer, it's better described, I think, as a reimagining than anything else. Because here's what makes it partly like a remake. You see the first boss from Onimusha 1, Osric, he was in the early trailer, but then and now he's in this as well. And so they are rehashing some elements. The sort of main Genma enemy, the sort of like the zombie Oni that we have in the early series is here now again. So there are elements that are taken from the first one that are being put back here. But we have Musashi as a protagonist. Musashi was only ever used in Onimusha in the recent Netflix anime, which was decent, right? And it also tread those themes of losing one's humanity and basically gaining touch with one's own Oni or demonic side. So I would say it's a reimagining. It's it looks like it has elements of a remake, but it is being told from a new angle. Musashi's demeanor is quite different. It's more playful, more frivolous, and it's a little lighter than Samanosuke's in the first Onimusha. So it's kind of like half and half. Yeah, we'll have to see.
Huge shout out to JJ for dropping 5 number gift subs in the chat. 5 more Roast Squad Bravo members joining the team and entering the survival horror. Thank you, JJ. That was, of course, because we hit over 1K likes on the stream. If you got any thoughts, guys, please dump them in the chat. We want to go through this, analyze what, because this wasn't an underwhelming show. Yes, of course, we didn't get the all-important Resident Evil announcement, but there was so much good stuff here. I think the highlight for me, to be honest, was Days Gone. Finally, after 6 years, Sony acknowledging Days Gone. Oh my God. I mean, it had to be done. Days Gone is definitely an underrated title. I'd like to obviously have seen a sequel, but that appears like it's not going to be the case. But maybe this is going to be like Resident Evil 1 when it launched on the PlayStation 3, where Capcom put it out as a bit of a test, see if fans are still interested in this. And if people pick up the remaster, then we'll dip our toe back into it. I think this could be a datum of things to come. But I'm looking forward to that. I'll definitely be picking up the Days Gone remastered on day one. I think that's such a brilliant game that was overlooked by people at the time because there was like performance problems with the PS4 at the time. I played it a lot later than that, so didn't have any of those issues. What do you guys think of that? Did you play Days Gone, and will you be picking up the remaster?
I know Tony did.
Yeah, I did. I played Days Gone. I actually enjoyed it. Bit of a long game, dragged out a little bit in certain areas. Story went on for a little bit too long, but ultimately it's a good game. And I really hope people go out and get this because we need to show them that we need this game now more than ever because the first one was just really criminally underrated. And like Andy said, there was a lot of problems at once that took, time to fix it. And by the time it got fixed, the damage was already done. So I would really like to see, because they left us on a big cliffhanger if you got the secret ending. So I want to see it, man. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, full agreement with that. It was actually a very easy platinum trophy to get if you played it on PS5. So,
really?
Yeah. Like it's a really fun platinum to get. So I'm hoping the trophies carry over and I could just do the same thing again. Because I don't know, it's just so addictive. It's so addictive going into all these areas with hordes and upgrading your motorcycle and getting new weapons, taking out outposts. It was brilliant. It was fucking brilliant. And I hope in time there's renewed interest in Days Gone. Ben's studio allocates some resource to a Days Gone 2. So we also, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. The Directive 8020 stood out to me. That was by Supermassive Games. Love the whole Alien Callisto Protocol vibe. Might pick that up actually. I think that's going to be good. Obviously, another big highlight is the Metal Gear Solid 3 trailer.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Why have they called it Delta? Is there something I've missed of why they're calling it Delta?
I think Delta's the third one because I think it goes Alpha, Bravo, Delta, and Metal Gear Solid is MGS3. So
yeah,
that's why they're calling it that.
But I'm assuming that they're remaking it because it's the first in the series, I guess, right? Chronologically.
Yeah, chronologically, it is technically the first of the Metal Gear games.
And yeah, they're keeping the tagline Snake Eater, but they're giving it Delta as well. So
Yeah.
it's like you understand that it's 3 from the old days, but like it's
Snake Eater.
Last Living Dodo actually brings up a fantastic point. Maybe a Siphon Filter remake, which is really, really interesting if they do that, because I'm pretty sure Splinter Cell is making a return. Metal Gear Solid is making a return.
Yep.
It wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility that Siphon Filter, fucking Logan, comes back for one last ride. That'd be amazing. Yeah, quite rightly. Dusk Golem said there'd be no RE9 trailer today. Dusk Golem also said that Onimusha 2 wouldn't be remade. So,
yep.
As
being
ever, like
remastered.
Sorry, remastered. But as ever, it's like things change, plans change all the time. I think if we didn't cover the event and something was shown, we would all be kicking ourselves proper. So
yeah.
I'm happy we've covered the event. And not being funny, there are some really good games coming up.
There is.
This was a really good show.
Solid. BL4 is coming. MGS3. That Shinobi is coming back, and it's by like this amazing studio that made like the best beat 'em up game ever. So
yep.
There's a lot of good stuff to look forward to. Yeah.
Borderlands 4, of course.
Yeah, Borderlands 4 and MGS are coming out the same month. Yeah, both in September. It's gonna be packed.
That Hell Is Us looked pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah, that one. There's like a lot going on in the trailer. Like it looks interesting.
Yeah, I felt like it.
More
I felt like it was like a Dark Souls type game, and then it was like a survival horror game, and then it wasn't, and then it was. It was just that was a bit of a whirlwind. That was
bit
of a whirlwind.
That's why I really appreciate like what was that, Saros at the end? Saros?
Oh yeah.
I really appreciate trailers like that because it kind of centralizes what's going on, so you can kind of like take little pieces and think about them, and the images they make more of an impression on me personally instead of giving me a lot of kind of movement and action and cuts. There's like one focused kind of scene. So those kind of presentations for me typically win me over more so than ones that are like there's a lot going on, like that one. What was it, Mind's Eye? That also had a lot of movement, and it was just a lot going on in one trailer.
Yeah, I agree.
So much was so little. Yeah, that's what I mean. Cinnabon.
So we obviously had quite a lot of games that were shown today. Outside of Resident Evil 9 specifically, is there anything you would have liked to have seen at State of Play?
Probably some sort of DLC or expansion for Dynasty Warriors Origins, because that game, I just can't stop gushing over it. It's just so good right now. But it has so much content. I'm not even through with it, but I would love to see more in that style. That's probably the big one, I would say.
I would like to see a Silent Hill 2 DLC.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think, I don't know, if I want to see something, I would like to see them bring back maybe like some older games, like a new Jack and Daxter game or something, or like a new Uncharted game. I would really love to see that.
Yeah, man, it's got to be a few years since Uncharted came out.
Yeah, the last one that came out was like Uncharted The Lost Legacy that took place after the 4th game. So and that was good. That was actually a really fun one. Because a lot of people are like, well, you can't have Uncharted without Nathan Drake, and you kind of can. Like the Lost Legacy probably proved that. And it was actually really fun. Like, yeah, again, he's iconic and stuff, but they gave his character the proper send off that bringing him back would kind of like be pointless. But yeah, I would love to see, because like I feel like Sony's kind of lacking in an identity right now. When you look at like all the games they had for years, they just kind of felt that Sony knew what they wanted in their games, and now it just kind of seems to be like all over the place. It's just very weird to me.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how much more they want to do with Ratchet and Clank. I personally loved Rift Apart. I thought that was an awesome title for PS5. And that was one of the early ones too. And so I don't know if they want to like get an original title going with that. They've kind of that series is in like a tough spot though. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when I think of Sony, when I think of stuff like God of War, when I think of like Ratchet and Clank, I would be open to seeing more stories in those worlds. Ratchet and Clank, with all the movement and like the mechanics that they added, I think there's like a lot of potential there. So when you saying Jack and Daxter makes me like instantly think of that along with it. So it's like where my head is. But those are both good.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I mean, I'm really shocked. Again, they announced more classics games, and I appreciate I'm beating an old drum here. But why have they not put 2 and 3, Resident Evil 2 and 3, on the PS Store? Like, we've got Dino Crisis now on the PS Store. We've got Resident Evil 1 on the PS Store.
Yep.
There's something fundamentally wrong with Capcom right now where they're just flat out ignoring the old Resident Evil games. And it's getting quite frustrating, actually. And a lot of people dogged on GOG for re-releasing the Classics collection on PC, and they've just done the same with Dino Crisis, but they're the only people that are actively trying to restore these older games. And I appreciate they are on PC, and they're a self-publishing distribution platform, and they effectively just got the license to put a wrapper on the old PC ports.
Yeah.
But they're the only ones trying. And it's like, man, they're just leaving so much on the table by not porting. I mean, how hard can it be to just put an emulator on a disc and with Resident Evil 1 and Metal Gear Solid just had a HD collection? Why can't I do the same sort of thing?
That's true.
I don't even think people really care about a HD collection. They just want to see a port of the old games.
It might just be a timing thing. It might just be because like we only saw an Onimusha 1 remaster when games like Ghost of Tsushima were being announced, when more of these samurai hype kind of was really getting in, and it was like really in the fashion. Have games like Nioh, Ghost of Tsushima, then you see Onimusha 1 remaster. Now with Onimusha, this new title that's like a reimagining, we have Onimusha 2 remaster announced. So it's like they're very strategically placing when they bring back these old titles. They might bring back classic OG RE 1 through 3 with like the announcement of 9 or something. So it's really like they're kind of just bringing back the old with the new. They have some marketing idea for all of these new age fans to kind of look back and see like where this came from. That's just what I think. So
yeah, agreed.
Kind of pattern.
Agreed. I mean, there was a comment here, hang on, by Tchaikovsky here, who says, I read the Dino Crisis port sucked, so maybe that's why Capcom is hesitant. I'm not sure if you're referring to the GOG port or the PlayStation Plus port, but I mean, the PlayStation Plus port is just the original PS1 game, and the PC port for GOG is actually pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, it's better with the classic Rebirth by Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's a pretty good port.
Did you say Tchaikovsky? That's so funny. It's like Tchaikovsky, but you just made it like Tchaikovsky.
How about you mind your business and stop being so xenophobic?
Just like made him a whole composer, like just like out of nowhere.
Bro started playing the piano out of nowhere. What's happening? What else we got here? Epicon 6. I just want a classic Resident Evil with pre-rendered backgrounds. We haven't gotten one for 23 years, and the technology we have now could make it photorealistic. Yeah, I want to say yes, but it's just such a... And I'm a big proponent of tank controls. I love going back and playing classic Resident Evil. I just think tank controls are just a bygone era. By definition, when they make games, they need it to appeal to the wider audience and not just people that played Resident Evil back in the day. So I think they'll struggle. I think the only compromise you'll get is what they did with 0 and 1, where they have like the first person movement.
Yep.
That they brought out for the remaster. That's probably the only compromise we're ever going to get. But that would be good. That would be good.
You know, I was just thinking the other day, like you look at like Alan Wake 2 and you look at Silent Hill 2 remake and you look at like RE2R, RE4R, RE3R, like everything is being streamlined to kind of fit that style with survival horror. Over the shoulder, very similar inventories, similar sort of like combat loops, little differences in the nuances, but all of them are being sort of like homogenized to fit that model. And that's just becoming the new norm. Like it's really hard to, once you establish something like that and you want to replicate its success, you want to reach like the same audiences you did the last time, to kind of like abandon that and like kind of regress to call it that, to like tank controls or something similar, because you've just so widely established this new style of playing. And every other franchise, not just like Resident Evil games like the RE engine, every other franchise, Alan Wake, Silent Hill, like taking this on, and it's like the style for the foreseeable future, which is like good in some ways, but it's also kind of unfortunate because, you know, to see any style or approach to the game, the perspective change and be what it was, is like really unlikely now. It's just not so financially viable.
Well, take out the content of Resident Evil 2 Remake. It's an exceptional game, and yes, I would say there's still merit in going back and playing the original, certainly when it comes to the B scenario, 100%. But the actual game design and how it approaches survival horror has been the blueprint for every fucking remake that's come out since. Think Alone in the Dark. Obviously, Alan Wake's 2 is not a
That's
remake,
true.
but think Alan Wake 2,
Yeah.
Dead Space, Silent Hill 2 remake. Like,
Mhm.
you can just tell, man. You could just tell, like, RE2 really laid that blueprint for
Oh,
all of
yeah.
these games and for games to come. So I'm just going through the comment section here. Remember, guys, if you've got any queries about the show or you got queries about Resident Evil, I mean, it's not necessarily got to be state of play related. More than happy facilitate your questions.
Mhm. I think earlier, Andy, you were talking about Onimusha 2, and we saw like a bit of the remaster today and the kind of like camera style. It is fixed camera, just like Resident Evil in some locations, and then it kind of moves with you in other ones, like kind of dynamic, which is
right.
interesting because if you read that Alex and Neil book, The Unofficial History of Resident Evil, it talks about how some of the people, the devs and the designers on the team of Onimusha 2, almost felt like they couldn't decide if Onimusha 2 actually looked better with its pre-rendered backgrounds than like RE1 remake. It looks like that good. It's really pretty. Once you go into the caves, like you see similar textures. You see similar textures like in the mines of Onimusha 2 as like you see in the RE1 underground mines, and like all this like shiny rock and stuff. And it's like that was like a serious competitor. It came out on a PS2 rather than GameCube, but very similar look and very beautiful.
Yeah, I need to invest some time in Onimusha. Obviously, I know what it is, but it's one of them games you always see, but never play. Kind of like what Silent Hill was for me before I started playing it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'll make some. What is it like? Is it a survival horror game?
It's interesting because it does have tank controls and it does have guns, so you could play it like Resident Evil if you want to. But you have a sword, so the swords and the melee attacks are like the best. So you have like a stance and you move like left and right, kind of like this. So it's like kind of tank controls, but like on steroids on your feet, and you're like a samurai who moves really fast. Um, and and the combat is like really satisfying. It gets more like kind of like Devil May Cry-ish. But yeah, if you want to use like arrows and guns and play like fixed camera angle, kind of just like auto aim at like an enemy and kill him like an RE1 remake, then you can, which is interesting. You can play Onimusha kind of like Resident Evil, and it can feel like it.
Yeah, I'll definitely. Maybe that'll be like another series I'll like play through. How many of them are there?
There's 1, 2, 3, and then there's Dawn of Dreams, which is kind of 4, basically.
Right.
And then there's like a few side games.
Oh.
Yeah, Blade Warriors, which is kind of like it's a fighting game, and you can have like up to 4 players. It's a lot of fun. I've actually played more of Blade Warriors than the actual other Onimusha games.
That is despicable.
I know, it's not even a good fighting game either.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
it's terrible.
It's not even a good one. It's just fun to play.
So this is great. I always love when this question comes up. So Gregory says, what do you think the chances are for Outbreak comeback or remake, Andy? I would love to see those again. So this obviously comes hot off the hot off the tails of Capcom announcing the Re:Verse is done. It's going to be wrapped up. I can't remember the date. I put it on my Twitter at Biodeclassified. Put it on my Twitter. It's going to be done. I think it was like June time. They're shutting the servers. Fin. Very disappointing. I did go into detail on my own channel about how disappointing and really doomed from the start. It was meant to launch in line with Resident Evil Village. It was delayed for 18 months. The beta weekend didn't even function properly. Couldn't even start a lobby, I remember. You had to all press start game at the same time for any hopes of you joining your friends. It was just poor. It was just extremely poor. They didn't support it as much as they should have done. I truly believe the only reason Capcom released it, one is to kind of test multiplayer in the RE engine in Resident Evil, I guess, or PvP, and to avoid a class action lawsuit for advertising it on the back of Resident Evil Village.
Yeah.
If they didn't release it, I'm imagining that would cause some litigation. Again, I think now's the time more than ever that Capcom look in the mirror, proverbially, and just say, now's the time to move back to what we do best. It's hilarious when you think about it. Resident Evil Resistance launches as the Dead by Daylight killer. And then not even a year later, Capcom is making content for Dead by Daylight.
Yep.
Absolutely crazy stuff.
They don't listen or learn. Like, I mean, they've learned a lot. I shouldn't say they don't learn, but like companies have to stop chasing like trends that don't make sense for their games. Like this even goes far as back to Resident Evil 6, because Resident Evil 6 was supposed to be like Call of Duty, because Call of Duty in like 2012 was fucking huge back then.
Oh, it was all the rage. Yeah. That whole era. Yeah.
Yeah. That era, and it also like Minecraft. Those were like the two biggest things back then. It's like, dude, Call of Duty people don't want to play Resident Evil, and Resident Evil don't want to play Call of Duty. Okay, if they do, they'll play them. We don't want them being mixed into our games and shit.
Yeah, 100% that. Again, Capcom are experts in survival horror. They are not experts in PvP. I don't think there is a big, and it's interesting as well because we had some leaked documents years ago about Resident Evil 3 remake and market research. And like, for example, they didn't want to call Resistance, at the time it was called Outbreakers, but they didn't want to call it Outbreakers because they didn't want people to confuse it with Outbreak. Want it to be its own thing. So obviously there is some thought process that goes out before they release these games, obviously. So I'm surprised nobody, not even an intern at Capcom, is going, I don't want to be this guy, but like maybe it's time we go to what we play to our fucking strengths here.
Yeah.
And I think there is so much mileage, not necessarily for a re-release of Outbreak, even though a re-release would be fantastic, but a brand new reimagining of Outbreak. There's so many intricate stories I think you can tell in Raccoon City. Raccoon City is not just a location in Resident Evil. Like Raccoon City is a character. It's almost like Silent Hill is to Silent Hill. It's so intrinsic to what Resident Evil is, and there is so much you can do in Raccoon City. The everyman, the ordinary person in an extraordinary situation. So many scenarios you can tell that haven't been told yet. They can go to, now that they've got like the Resident Evil 3 remake, the 2 remake, they can go to all these cool locations that were in those games. You know, I just think there's so much mileage in doing a multiplayer game like that rather than these spunk gargle wee fucking throwaway multiplayer games that no one cares about a month after it's released.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, you could have literally had like Re:Verse could have been a great game if you continue to support it. Their big thing was the mass delay, the fact that like, afterwards it's just like, okay, so now we're playing it. It's fun. And then you announce that the next wave of characters is going to be Chris's fucking squad, these faceless goons that we don't care about. When you leaving out characters like Wesker and who was some of the other characters that like got left out, like Billy, Sheva, all these like legacy characters you could have had been characters that would have kept people coming in. And if you kept balancing it, you added some more maps to it, you added some more monsters, like, you know, you could have had Lady D be one of the fucking creatures you transform into and you get killed, like one of the like, or you could be like a hunt, like the normal hunter instead of the ones from RE3 remake. Like you could have had so much with that game, but like you're just like, let's just throw this out there and we'll call it a celebration of, you know, 30 years, 25 years of the history of the series or whatever. And it's just like, well, you didn't really do that. I mean, hell, if any of you guys actually remember, Chris at the beginning was actually not Village Chris. It was RE7 Chris. It was that face.
It was
on the promotional art, and everybody was just like, "Oh, why? No,
this guy doesn't exist.
Yeah, he's not real."
But I actually did, from what I played of Reverse, when in that beta mode, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
there just wasn't enough of it.
Yeah, like they've been. I was like, dude, like I remember like playing it the first night. I ran to our buddy Matt. He was playing, and I was just like, "There's nobody else that goes by Matt the Marvel online. That is, I know who this motherfucker is. That just kills me." Like it was fun. It just like if you just make these games fun and like you put a little effort and budget into them, it would have worked for quite a while. But you didn't. You just kind of put it out and let it to die because you didn't advertise it properly enough. And again, like the fact that I think the launch of the actual game itself was really rough, and the beta didn't work either, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was tragic, man. It was absolutely tragic. I think the only port I could play was like the Xbox version. I think the PC one, if I remember, and I could be wrong, but I'm sure the PC one they tried to get the beta working, Capcom, and just gave up. Like they didn't even fucking finish it off. They was just like, "Oh, we can't be asked. We'll just let the Xbox and PS4 players play it." Just absolutely tragic. Man, Village was weird, wasn't it? Actually, like looking back at Village, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but like I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, it's a first-person game, and then it releases a third-person mode, like a camera mode. I was like, man, this is amazing. And then they release the Mercenaries additional DLC that you can only play in first person. Okay, and then they release Shadows Arose that you can only play in third person. Who is making these decisions?
It's a little all over the place. Yeah,
that was weird. I think maybe because of like how they wanted to structure it, it would have been like it would have maybe they thought it would be easier to move around. But like, dude, like if I was playing Shadows of Rose like first person or like VR or something like that, and I hear something, I look behind, there's like a creepy mannequin poking around the door, I'd just be like, nope, fuck off.
See, that's what, like, certain segments of Village absolutely, I would say, require first person to be executed properly, especially like Beneviento. If you go to House Beneviento and you're locking yourself into the closet or hiding under the bed, all of that kind of stuff is pretty underwhelming in third person. So there's some aspects of that design that like I really do see how they fully integrated the first person perspective, and it just made it work that way. But then obviously most of the game is more of like an action ride, and it's like a RE4, RE5, RE6 kind of fun once you start really piling up your guns and just doing whatever you want. So yeah, it's a very mixed experience.
Emma, this is completely different, but Emma said, were you affected by the PlayStation Network when PlayStation Network went down? That was kind of weird, wasn't it? It just kind of went down for like, what was it? Like a couple of days?
Yeah, like 2-3 days. And I remember everybody's freaking out. I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to play? And then I'm looking at my wall back here. I'm like, I think I'm all set. I think I know what I'm playing.
Praise the physical media.
Forever physical.
But what was frustrating is even single player games with a disc wouldn't work on PS5. Like it wouldn't let you go into offline mode or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty tragic. And they just didn't say anything. And it was like, man, what's going on here? It's $1 billion corporation not put out a statement for like 2 days.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, I saw some headline that people were fearing like a hacking incident.
Yeah, I mean, like, because what was it? Wasn't it down like 2 months or something like that back in the day? Like, chat, how long did that one last?
That was that
like 10 years ago or something?
Yeah,
like
it's 2011. Yeah.
Okay.
That was tragic.
Oh, almost 15 years ago.
Because I remember like when it first happened, I'm like, oh, that kind of sucks. I want to play my fighting games. And then I'm like, well, They're on 360. Hi, new best friend.
24 days, 3 weeks that was. Cool.
Ooh.
That felt
Wow.
like an eternity.
I was gonna
as
say, yeah,
well.
it felt like because that was like my main console I gamed on. It's just, and I just remember looking over at my 360 like on the shelf again, and just having it. It's like that Simpsons moment where it's like, so come crawling back, eh? And I'm just like, the classy thing would be not to drive attention to this itself. It was just like I just remember I was like, all right, yeah, and I remember, yeah, I was playing a lot of fighting games, but then I got into playing Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen on the 360, and that was just so much fucking fun. Fucking love that game.
So Darkota's come in with an absolute fire point, which I absolutely need to highlight. That's Capcom needs to stop following trends and start setting them. That's what the original Resident Evil games did, and that's why they kick ass. 100%. As I said earlier in the stream, it's the old business adage. If you try to appeal to everyone, you'll appeal to no one. And that's why games like Resident Evil 6 were received so mediocre. It's because they tried to appeal to absolutely everyone. If I wanted to play Gears of War, I would go and play Gears of War Capcom. If I wanted to go play Call of Duty, I would go play Call of Duty Capcom. If Call of Duty made a Resident Evil style game, there's no way I would be playing that. Because Capcoms are the fucking G's. They're the ones that make it happen.
And then if you juxtapose that with RE7, you look at this era of innovation. They really are always like innovating with like the next level. Like you have photogrammetry, you have like these just absolutely gorgeous textures. First person experience in Resident Evil, like they really do like innovate with every era that way. But then it's like their side projects or kind of B projects do a little bit more experimentation, a little bit more like, can we weigh into this trend? Is it going to be like beneficial to us to like maybe try to do like a multiplayer style, DVD style kind of experience, Left 4 Dead style? So yeah, I feel like that's true.
Yeah, agreed. I remember the first time I picked up RE6, I was like, man, this could be interesting. Because I remember seeing the trailer and like Chris and
The
Leon.
trailer was
like,
good.
Yeah, man, it was
The trailer
amazing.
was
It was
awesome.
like, she's the one who did all this, it was really cool. And then like I was planning to start, and not only did it take forever to get through that prologue, like it just all of a sudden it was like a Michael Bay film. Like it was like Roland Emmerich's 2012, where like he's driving in the limo down the road and everything's fucking blowing up left, right, and center. Like, man, what happened to the mansion incident? What happened to walking in scary corridors and being chased by a nemesis?
It's so funny.
How did we
because
end up here?
I played 6 again last year, and like the very first like sort of gameplay moment where you're walking through with that guy trying to find his daughter, the game like broke on me. Like it didn't crash. It just he couldn't get through the door that he was supposed to get through. So he just stood there like looking anxious for like 5 minutes. And me and my friend were like, what's happening? And we just restarted, and then he progressed like as you should. But it's just it is quite the intro to sit through for Leon's segment at least.
Yes, it's painful, and I know it was advertised as like, oh, it's 3 different scenarios and it's 12 hours long each or whatever, and it's the same scenario 3 times. It's the same argument when people say, oh, Resident Evil 3 remake's really short. But Resident Evil 2 remake isn't, even though Resident Evil 2 remake is like the same scenario 4 times.
Oh, that's because the A and B scenarios in the remake for 2, as opposed to the originals, aren't quite as distinctive.
Yeah,
that
was painful.
That's also a thing.
Yeah,
man, that rips off an old Band-Aid of playing scenario B and being like, oh man, I wonder what cool stuff I'm going to see in scenario B. Oh, hang on a minute. This is exactly like scenario A, except I
like
get a different
Mr.
angle.
X and Birkin in every one of the 4 scenarios, like together. Like there's always like that as well. Like all of the 4 have like all of the 4 scenarios have those 2 villains every time, so it loses that aspect of it being distinct too.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, RE6 can be fun at sometimes. I mean, I think that RE6 has probably the best Mercenaries game. Like out of all the Mercenaries I've played,
pretty good.
I think 5, but 6 is a close second. Yeah.
5 is great. It's just 6 gives you the ability to like literally run and gun. Like you're not, because like in 4 and 5, you have to like, pose and you can't move or anything. Whereas in 6, you're like fucking dodge rolling, back jumping and shit like that, side dodging, fucking like reversal martial arts, like pipe to the head. Like there's a lot of great stuff. Like, I mean, I keep telling JJ, it's like, dude, we gotta play this together at some point and everything. It's because like also no mercy exists in RE6 when it's just fucking hordes coming at
Oh,
you.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. In Wesker, you just like run back and forth. You keep colliding, and like you get like all of these time boosts. You get like more time than you were ever supposed to be able to
RE4 you're
get.
thinking of. RE6 doesn't have Wesker.
You can do that in 5. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 has that, but like RE6 has a no mercy mode where there's so many enemies on screen, like you can't catch a breath. Because the problem is, people have to understand, the first Mercenaries that came out for the consoles, if it's really limited, go back and play it, guys. Go back and play RE5 Mercenaries by
There's a lot of
yourself.
downtime, right?
Yeah, and see how many enemies you struggle to find to keep that thing up, and then Mercenaries.
That's painful.
Yeah, and then Mercenaries Reunion or whatever it was. No, sorry, the Mercenaries Reunion was the one where they added like Excella, Rebecca, Barry, and all the other extra characters.
And they put in No Mercy with that. Yeah.
No, that one didn't come first. Because it was still on the consoles. Like that was the PS.
That was PC. That was PC.
Oh, it's only
only.
PC. Yeah, I'm so biased because I keep playing these games on PC.
PC did have No Mercy at launch for single player on RE5, but it's when they remastered them. That's when like the Reunion one. Well, actually, sorry, no, that came out like later in the gold editions that they had, and you still had a hard time finding. There's more enemies on screen, but they're still like hard to find. So it's kind of a bummer. But then you play RE5 No Mercy on like PS4, PS5, and yeah, you get enemies everywhere, but there's no co-op. So RE6 is the one that has the No Mercy co-op, and it's fan-fucking-tastic with somebody else. It just it's balls to the wall, crazy shit happens. Like it's literally a laugh out loud time. Like I love playing that with friends. Like I said, it's one of my favorite parts of RE6.
Like it's really wild because that game you could melee without stunning someone. Like you could just swing. Like it's a button. You just hit a button and you just like go like this. And that's just how it's built. It's just so funny. What do you think about? Okay, yeah, I was literally just about to talk about that question, Andy, when you pulled it up. But yeah,
suspiciously named Ethan Winters. So I feel like this person may have a bias.
He's like, why do you put this in my game? Do you like this? I didn't like this.
I think you're probably the best person to address this question, because I remember in the lead up to Village and certainly post Revelations 2, we was talking a lot about Kafka, etc.
Oh yeah,
where it was. Where
a whole bunch of stuff that the game like was not, but then like one or two things that I got right.
Yeah.
But like 85 to 90% that I was just like going off on my own. Yes, I do remember.
It depends on how you think about Resident Evil, like being bioweapons, etc. Do you think Lycans and like this vampire undertone was appropriate for a Resident Evil game? I think that's the question.
Here's what I'm going to say first is that when you look at 0, when you look at 1, 2, and 3, and Code Veronica, and you look at the T virus, right? The T virus degenerating someone's mental faculties in such a way that mimics the behavior of a zombie, it makes perfect sense as is, right? So, you know what's way more difficult to explain? How a human's mental faculties or their body can specifically deteriorate in a way that makes them a lichen or makes them a vampire. So it's like now we have a biological agent that what they become isn't so inherently easily explained by the nature of the infection. The goal of all of these scientists, if you look at Marcus and Zero, the goal is always, and you see this in a lot of the franchises that are influenced by Resident Evil. Look at Callisto Protocol. What's the goal? It's to physically enhance the test subjects without losing their intellect, right?
Yeah.
So that's the goal of Resident Evil. Often in the early franchises, you look at, we see Marcus doing all these failed experiments with these animals. They're unable to lose their ability to connect with one another, but then he finds the leeches, right? And then we find cases in human beings that have the right genetics and under the right conditions, they can become a tyrant. And we have all of these like outliers that are perfect vessels. And all of those, it makes sense roughly that like, yes, when they lose their mental faculties, they become zombie-like because they've lost their intellect. Now, why does someone under like some condition from a parasite, a Kadu parasite, or under the influence of the megamycete or any of these other sort of late stage Resident Evil phenomena, parasites, why do those create what they create, especially in Village? Why does the Kadu parasite specifically create a lichen? That is much more difficult to accept as being the case because it's not so obviously explained by the underlying science as a zombie is. And I think people are always going to have an issue with that, as they should, because it's like, why does it conveniently turn into something that we've seen in media, right? A zombie, it's not so much that it conveniently turns into a zombie, it's that someone losing their mind and having this animalistic hunger. Yeah, like what else would we call it if not a zombie? Sure. But it's like turning into something else. It's like I understand why people have difficulty buying that. And that applies with like Lady D's daughters. It's like they're clearly inspired by the Brides of Dracula, but we're calling them witches in the game. So there's a little bit of like kind of messiness there with like what we're referring to and also what the identity of Resident Evil has been about in terms of enemies. So I think all of that together is not only is it treading new territory with fantasy and bringing in things like lichens and vampires, it's trying to explain them all as being caused by the same agent, the Kadu parasite in Village, right? So then also beyond not being so plausible that like this Kadu parasite actually like causes this specific thing, a lichen, now it also creates like kind of like vampiric-esque creatures. It also paves the way for these other sorts of creatures, this like fish monster, Moreau. It seems to have like infinite applications that are almost like limitless. And Heisenberg, right? He's like controlling metals. He's like becomes this like Magneto-esque figure.
Magneto.
So you have this like really, really, really wide, diverse array of potential results that come from roughly the same agent, the Kadu parasite in Village. And I think that's where the connection between the biological sort of cause of what's going on and the result, and that result being so likenable to things like vampires and lichens and kind of things that are really booming in horror pop culture. It's like, how did we get that from this? How did we get all of those different things from this one thing? And if you think about it that way, I can understand why people are like, can this one thing really create all sorts of fantasy creatures that like, you know, all the writers, like it's cool to bring them into the Resident Evil world. I think it is, but trying to explain them is like pretty hard. I think it's like it's always going to be a little bit difficult.
And now they're in a catch-22 as well, because and by the way, we haven't had official confirmation that the next game is Resident Evil 9. The director said we're making a new Resident Evil game.
Yes.
So the assumption,
and that's all he said.
Yeah, the assumption obviously it is Resident Evil 9 and it's not a remake. By definition, by saying a new Resident Evil game, it's not an old Resident Evil game is bringing back, for example. This is all assumption. I could be completely wrong. But going back to the question, they're in a catch-22 right now because they have overcomplicated these fucking biological weapons to the point that they can't go back to basics. They can't simply step back and go back to zombies because it's so much more, the lore is now so much more complex than it was 25 years ago when it was, oh yeah, fucking corporations, evil, wanted to make a weapon, evil zombies, that's it. Simple lore. So I fear for Resident Evil 9 because I don't want it to be like Village. I have very little reason to go back and play Village now. It was an exceptional game. I just don't feel like I need to go back and play it. It's like a one and done type scenario. And I don't want that to be the case for Resident Evil 9 if that is what's coming next.
You know what's interesting about that is that I think Village is like the entry beyond all others that push the fantasy aspect too far in the ways that I already explained.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, if you look at 4 and if you look at 5 even, and you look at this African folklore, you look at Nadesu, and you look at these type 2, type 3 plaga, I think both 4 and 5 made Ouroboros and the plaga types work really well with the world. They were very well integrated. The Las Plagas had a pretty like consistently reliable effect on on a lot of the hosts. So for example, if you look at Del Lago, big giant salamander becomes giant like the T-virus, because Resident Evil, I feel like every Resident Evil is like a little bit about animal gigantism. It's about massive animals that have no business being that large, but some agent brings them to that size. And it's like the Plaga is like likenable to the T-virus in that specific aspect. And then if you look at El Gigante, yes, it's like a massive thing. And it's like, and then we have the regions. So we have these different applications for the same thing for Las Plagas, depending on how it is used in experimentation. But it's much more close to, we have like T-virus human, zombie, and then we have T-virus dog, becomes a Cerberus, becomes a zombie dog. So then similarly with Las Plagas, we have a Ganado, Plaga human, and then we have Colmillos or fangs, which is like the sort of Cerberus equivalent for Las Plagas. All of those sort of keep these creatures and the effect of the bio agent on the organisms pretty consistent, I think. Once you start bringing in the Kadu, once you start bringing in all of these different sort of mutations in Village, things start to deviate really fast in one entry, really widely. That's what's difficult, I think, to come back from. Even in RE7, we have the mold, we have Evelyn, we have her influence over other people. And so like that idea, I don't think I think that idea is pretty serviceable, and I don't think it's too convoluted before we get to Village, because Village like really just opens things up and it's like exploring all sorts of possibilities. And so coming back from that to something simpler, I think is like a little bit hard. So
I mean, maybe if like they had like pre-established this like after like Resident Evil 3, or like you read something in a file talking about like a military like convoy like found something out in Eastern Europe somewhere that disappeared because people were saying it's monsters. Maybe if like you had pre-established certain things, maybe ultimately that could have worked in the favor for when they tried to move away from what Resident Evil already kind of is, like open the world to be like, hey, there's more than just what we've been showing you guys for 30 years. Now's the time to go into there. But I think it might be a little too late at that point. I really think it might be. I mean, the only thing you can really do is like, I feel that personally you should tell side stories like with the Revelation series. You could, you know, Revelations 3, you know, there's still a Wesker out there. Natalia still exists. Spoilers for
Alex,
people who haven't played a 10-year-old game. And I also think, you know, even make some fun spin-off ones like another Chronicles game, because you've got the events of Resident Evil 4, 5, 6, and 7 that you could do on an on-rail shooter. So it's really hard to kind of go back to what Resident Evil was, because at this point it's almost impossible.
It's moving fast, yeah. Or at least it has during Village, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
We had $2 super chat from Christopher Robin. There was probably about 10 minutes ago now, but the chat went by so quick I couldn't highlight it. He just said about Leon and Chris both being in Resident Evil 9. I mean, from the information that's going around the insiders, that's not out of the realms of possibility. Excuse me. I feel like everything keeps changing. It's very hard. As somebody who, when Village came out, had such reliable, verified information, because I knew people that had play tested the game, so it was an easy back check. There is so much, and leak videos now they're almost their own type of currency in a way.
Yeah,
on YouTube, like leak videos in general. I just get, my inbox is just flooded with just incorrect information, to be honest, like just out there information. Like I received, here we go, just, and this isn't necessarily just related to games, but I had one last week. Someone reckoned that they were marketing from the upcoming Resident Evil film, and it had Leon in it, and there's going to be another Resident Evil series. It's going to be shot in South Africa like the other Netflix series. And I think, well, why would Capcom do that? Why would Capcom logically do a Resident Evil series again? And why, like, nothing tallied up. And yeah, I get that quite regularly. Just just crazy theories that are obviously
That was kind of like
populating
older
Reddit.
information though, right? Like didn't we already get information on like Sophia Marcus looking for a cure for some virus,
Yeah,
and she was
that's
like
what I got.
running across these like different countries, like the first Netflix series, something like that.
Yeah, and the problem is it was so similar to the Netflix series, so it was like,
Mhm.
well, that's an easy thing to just come up with in your head, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But
Right.
sometimes people think if I just send something that's so intricate,
Mhm.
it's got to be real, and it's like, well, no, that's not how it works. Like,
Yeah, but that's like for people who want to present information that can be interpreted as being the real thing, they will go out of their way to make it intricate, and they'll think like a writer, you know? It's like
Yeah.
there's no way that you can kind of talk about leaks and rumors, but and justify something as real or fake by it be sounding like legit or good or intricate. So
Exactly, and to double down on that, like I work in construction, deal with a lot of construction labor, and
Mhm.
quite often I compare like these sorts of stories to the excuses I get for why people don't turn up to work. They think if they come up with the most absurd excuse, just because they've told me how absurd it is,
Uh-huh.
it's got to be the
It's
truth.
got to be real.
Yeah.
It's like no way.
But yeah, when it comes to leaks, like the first thing I say back to him is like, have you got anything that you can help me verify it? And this is always the difficult with leaks is everybody is under NDA. So nobody is
Right,
going
yeah.
to be in a rush to verify the story for you. And you really don't want to post information where you can.
Mhm. Oh, for sure. As they
if it's
should.
just not going to be logically true. So yeah, it's a bit of a fun one. We do get some triers, but man, it's crazy. All of this is because Capcom are not pushing the button on what they're doing next. So it's
Yeah.
just causing the community to be in a bit of a frenzy on what they think is coming next.
Oh yeah.
But going back to the Resident Evil movie, and if you guys don't know, I posted a video on the row just talking about the new announcement. Well, it's not really an announcement. It was a report from the Hollywood Reporter saying that Zach Kreger is going to be the new director of a brand new Resident Evil movie. We don't know if that's going to be an authentic adaptation. We don't know if it's going to be a sequel. We don't know if they're fucking throwing it all out the window and they're going original story. We do not know. All we know is that Zach Kreger has a demonstrated history of psychological horror. The co-writer, I can't remember his name, Shay Hatton was his name, writer on John Wick and Army of the Dead. So again, quite fast-paced, dynamic writer. That's the latest information that we've got. I don't know if I'm ready to see another Resident Evil film. This feels like when Spider-Man reinvented itself 3 times, and it's like, man, I don't want to see Uncle Ben die for a 3rd time. I want to, I think we're kind of done reinventing the wheel with Resident Evil because it's just, it's funny as well because the George A. Romero documentary came out recently, Brandon Salisbury, of course. And that talks about how George says that Constantine do not understand what Resident Evil is. And that was 25 fucking years ago. And it's still like, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. I'd like to know your guys' thoughts. And of course, everybody in the chat, are you excited for a brand new Resident Evil film, at least with a director that's got a demonstrated history of horror?
No, not really. Cause it's still I mean, you can get these guys in Hollywood that say, oh, I'm a fan of this. Oh, I understand this. I love this. I love that. But ultimately, we've already been burned so many times. We hear that these people want these things. We hear that they want to do this. This is what we want to do. I mean, and just every time they try to, it just doesn't work. I mean, Welcome to Raccoon City was just kind of a, what do you call it there? A nostalgia Easter egg fest, because half the time they showed something from the game, they were so awkward about it that people who never played the games are going to be I don't understand what's so important about this, and
like the doll and and Lisa Trevor kind of just how
Fucking
she
Lisa.
interacts with like Chris and Claire and like the
and
world.
the precinct keys that they had that she had and everything.
Uh-huh.
Like it just, like that's the thing. So I don't feel that they're going to do it because they don't care. Like these company, like you would think that with the success of the Sonic the Hedgehog movies and the Mario Brothers movie, they would finally fucking understand. But I've been telling people this: we are still like a decade away from movies that are based off of video games actually getting consistently good. Like, because again, you've got the higher ups, they come in, they disrupt everything, they tell you, no, we got to change it to be this, tell your writers to make it this instead. And that's the same way in game development, too, unfortunately. And until people can put their foot down, or you get the right independent people to make films, such as the incredibly awesome Keeper's Diary that Andrew Sala directed, then you're just going to keep getting trash after trash, unfortunately. It's one of those things like where it's like, look, if I put my hand on the stove, I know I'm going to get burned again. So,
but on that point, Andrew, myself, and the rest of the Keeper's Diary crew, we have a very unique perspective on adapting Resident Evil now. So the real dynamic that the difference that we had is when we crowdfunded the Keeper's Diary, we didn't have investors. We didn't have executives. We didn't have people above us that told us what we wanted to do. We had a vision. People supported that vision. And I mean this with the greatest of respect. Anybody that donated to the project could have said, I don't like the way this is. And it's like, well, so like, this is the vision that we want to do. We believe this is the correct vision for Resident Evil. And it makes me sympathize with people like Paul W.S. Anderson, Johannes Roberts, who obviously had this level of management above them that were telling them what they believe Resident Evil to be, which is obviously not in line with what we believe it to be. We also have a dynamic where we need to make Resident Evil, whether we like this or not, gang, is one thing. We need to make Resident Evil appeal to a bigger audience than just gamers.
Mm-hmm.
And that is always lost when we talk, when I see discourse and discussion about adapting games for films.
Right.
Is they're trying to make games appeal to a wider audience. And you got to think of survival horror is already a niche in a niche in a niche. They've got to make survival horror appeal to everyone. But they've got it the wrong way around. Instead of adapting Resident Evil for a casual audience, they need to find a way, and I've not got an answer for this, of adapting the casual audience for Resident Evil. That's the correct formula, not the other way around. Because quite often what they do is they adapt it and then they just make it completely not like Resident Evil. Like Constantine have got an obsession with making Resident Evil post-apocalyptic when Resident Evil is not post-apocalyptic. You are in the fight. You are in the moment of it becoming apocalyptic.
Right.
Like you think of Raccoon City. I mean, Becky, you've got a fantastic video on what makes Resident Evil, like your little formula list. Isolated location, etc. Like, obviously, it always ends with a nuke, but it's never after the nuke. And I think that's where it's getting lost. Constantine want this Walking Dead-esque life after, and that's not Resident Evil.
That's what comes to mind because when watching Brandon's documentary too, you look at the ideas that are entertained and given money. Like, for example, there was the McElroy script for the Resident Evil film, and then there was like Romero script, and then it's like Paul W.S. Anderson script, and it's and if you compare those instances of what gets the money, what gets the production, what gets like the studio backing, to like the more modern instances, like for example the Resident Evil Netflix series, the projects that really like pull forward and get buy-in from investors, it seems like ones that are most easily likened to an existing genre with like a very high, easy prospective audience to market to. So like this new Resident Evil series, it is a teen drama, right? It is essentially like I've picked it apart for hours. That video that I made on it was really just like kind of bulleting down like a lot of the scenarios that they entertained could have been made more Resident Evil. They could have been Resident Evilized further. And for example, they have elements like they have these children studying at a school, and it's like, why not have them be university students like Billy Rabbitson from the early lore? And why don't
Yep.
they have this actually be a concentrated effort towards finding like Umbrella's next big like application, right? So it's not like there isn't like really superficial kind of connections and like foundational elements that can be worked upon, but it's like really understanding how to make that a Resident Evil story and not a teen drama ultimately. That I
Yeah.
think that like it kind of loses the funding and the direction there and the oversight from whoever makes the big decisions. It's difficult to see all of that if you don't have a lot of experience with maybe some of the early titles. So it is something that I think will always be like a little bit difficult to market and translate to like screenplay style, like all of the traditional arcs. If you read like how that's taught, it's there are very sort of clear beats that are easy to market and ones that are very niche, and it's like, audiences might not get this, you got to change that, might not get this. And it's just subject to so much change and so much kind of like I guess like a little bit of homogenization with other Outbreak series, right? So that's where I think a lot of the urge to make these stories post-apocalyptic style comes from. So yeah, that's just kind of what I was thinking. I am faithful that like someone like Zach Ruger. I haven't seen Barbarian. I really want to watch it now because I'm curious. Someone like I am like cautiously optimistic that someone can kind of like take the elements and make something really special out of it, and something that is paced in a way that complements a film. Because a lot of people, we see comments all the time that are like, take this material, take the game, put it into a movie, take the SD Perry novel, use that for the movie. And it's like, if you really look at the pacing and the structure of screenplays and how to create those emotional moments, it's never that simple. It's a lot harder than that. It's a lot harder.
Yeah.
You have to really discern which moments actually deserve screen time and which is actually building towards some emotional journey for a character. So it can't be guided around like game-centric writing as we would like to think. There was even it makes me think of, I was watching this video the other day about how Tears of the Kingdom as like it's sort of game design and it's like writing philosophy. That's like a classic case of a game being written for the sake of its mechanics, not for its story. Resident Evil, a lot of what's being written in also, you see, it's like it's to complement survival horror as a game experience, not necessarily as a story. So there is a lot of gaps. There are a lot of gaps to fill. There's a lot of work to be done to constructively transform that into something palatable for film. So I just think it is genuinely hard, but I think that people could do it.
I mean, ultimately, if you really want, in my personal, I've talked about this before on like on some streams somewhere, but like if you really want to make a lot of these properties work, because Resident Evil's done a lot of things, except they haven't really gone the realm of like, they've done the CGI stuff, which a lot of people really enjoy because people don't really take them super seriously or anything like that because they just enjoy them because they know they're dumb fun. But I think if you really want to take it seriously and do Resident Evil, do it as an anime. And if anybody's ever seen the anime Hellsing Ultimate, if you took that art style with how bloody and crazy that is, you could make it a really good anime. Or if you're going to do a TV show, you adapt every game as a season. That is like honestly the best way to do it because then you get so much to work with in that aspect and keep it short. Because like also like a big thing that no one's really talking about is that these short form shows that are coming out now are doing so well. Like the best one you can take to as an example is Castlevania. Castlevania has told a really great story throughout the few seasons that it had and the new season too. And they're keeping it short, which means you get the episodes a lot quicker and they're doing pretty well with a lot of stuff. So I think that Resident Evil would do better as either like an anime or a live action series that's helmed properly. Like not like that Netflix series, but like literally just look at the games, look at the roadmap, and then I mean, obviously you're gonna have to alter things along the way. It won't be exactly as everything will be in there most likely. But I think that if you got the right person and let that person cook and don't let the higher up stop you, you'd have a really good chance.
Like Adi Shankar.
Yeah,
he's doing a lot of really good work. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shout outs to other Addies. Big fan.
Yeah, shout out. Of course, of course. Something else that is missed, actually, we're talking about appealing to a wider audience. That's what the films have to do. And whether we like it or not, that is a fact of the matter. Another fact of the matter is the commercial ability of the film. These films need to make a return on investment. They cut a benefit of the Keeper's Diary. It was not for profit. We didn't have to worry. We didn't have to worry when we put the budget together that we'd have to sell X amount of units or put it into theaters or whatever. So it's just going to be put online for free of charge. Massively different dynamic when you are handed $30 million and you have to make a return on investment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So and this is why. And it's not until you really start thinking about it, you go, right, well, that is it the correct? I'm not saying these are correct decisions that Paul W.S. Anderson made, and maybe what Johannes Roberts did, and maybe what Zach Cregger might have to make. It's the safe decision. They adapt Resident Evil to be more casual friendly so they can get that return on investment, because as much as subconsciously, and I'll give you a perfect example of this. Subconsciously, we want to see the mansion incident on the big screen, 1-to-1 remake. Our heart is telling us it. That's all we want to see. We want to see real life Spencer Mansion, them going into the mansion, etc., etc. But if that ever gets made, it will be the worst film ever. And the reason why that will be is because you look at film like Tomb Raider 2018. Who remembers the Tomb Raider 2018?
Never saw
film?
it.
Yeah. It was a great film, but it was so close to the game that it's forgotten about. No one remembers the Tomb Raider film.
It had like
Everyone
also no fucking advertisement either, too.
Yeah. But what Tomb Raider film do we remember?
The
film
Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, the film that wasn't like the fucking games.
Yeah, not even close.
So, this is what I'm trying to say. I don't agree with these decisions. I don't agree that they should make Resident Evil casual, but it's a necessary evil to ensure that it gets a return on investment. And I don't think us as a community are prepared to accept that answer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, right? It's sometimes you understand that looking at these other adaptations, Castlevania, like Tony mentioned, included, right? When they take aspects of the source material, create something transformative, create something a little bit novel, and they kind of, it feels additive. It feels like you come out of the experience with a new perspective that simultaneously kind of respects and preserves a lot of that source material, but it also creates something new. Then it's just more memorable. And it's also like, it's better as a standalone story because it's not just something being translated. It's something being like really unique. It's something really unique and special being uniquely created. It's not just a translation of game to film or book to film. It's like there's a new story here. There's new things that I'm feeling about these characters in this world that I hadn't before. I haven't seen, by the way, the Fallout series, but I understand that that's kind of what they did. It took aspects of the world, preserved a lot of what was there, but created something a little bit different in perspective and added to it. So
yeah, well,
that's what I'm seeing a lot.
That's because with Fallout games have never had like there is a consistent story with like like that they do have, but it takes place in different time periods and then sometimes other parts in different parts of the world and stuff. So that's why it works, because there's always something different. Plus, you are the main character, so that gives them a little bit more breathing room than having to adapt someone from like from the games into live action. I think that gives them a little bit more headroom than tackling something like Resident Evil.
Room to play. Yeah, it's not so rigid. I guess it's not so defined what people are expecting to see from a presentation standpoint, or like, Jill should look exactly like this, Leon should look exactly like this. Fallout is a little bit free, have some room to play, and
there are things that make those characters though, and I think this is a big problem with Welcome to Raccoon City. Is like Leon is not just Leon because he's just like, I don't even know what they tried to do with him. The same as Jill. Like, I appreciate looks on everything, but it's the actual characters, like the personality of who they are. Like, for example, let's look at Avin Jogia's portrayal of Leon. Leon is his first day on the job. He is naive. He's not stupid. He's just naive. Like if you look at the Resident Evil 2 remake and the original Resident Evil, very intelligent guy. Like there's a scene in Resident Evil 2 remake which articulates this point absolutely perfectly, and it's Ben Bertolucci, where Leon in Resident Evil 2 remake goes down and sees Ben, and he goes, "Oh, what are you doing down here?" And Ben goes, "Oh, you got to let me out of here." And on Leon's first day of the job, he goes, "Well, I think I should probably talk to Irons first." Why is that? Because he's using his police intuition, even though he's wants to clearly help Ben. He's like, "Well, you're obviously in there for a reason."
Yeah.
And they completely misinterpreted that in Welcome to Raccoon City.
Yep.
By saying, "Oh, he's a rookie cop. He must be the biggest fucking idiot you've ever seen in your life," which is completely incorrect. And he's just in Resident Evil 2, he's just naive. That's all he is. He's naive.
Yeah, if I can, that's a good point. It's a good distinction too, because when you have one core protagonist or two, like Leon and Claire, let's say, it's easy to create that like sort of competent, naive but competent rookie kind of archetype of a character. But when we have like Chris, we have Richard, Leon, like all of them are in the same story. Wesker's in there. I think that decision to make Leon look like a buffoon and just be more like incompetent essentially came from a desire to sort of really distinguish and like dramatize the difference between the rookie and the others. I'm not saying it was the right decision. I think that's where it came from though. I think it came from like we have these sort of similar kind of jock type characters with like Wesker and Chris. And then if we have someone that is like brand new, who can we poke fun at? It's Leon. It's like this is the opportunity, even if it's not a good one, even if it makes people upset. I think that's what they were thinking. Is they want to exaggerate that difference and that competence, and just have some fun with it and laugh at him.
Yeah, I mean, look at Wesker. Look at the Wesker arc in Welcome to Raccoon City. Like, obviously, I totally appreciate they are telling a story of something that already exists. So it's very hard to make Wesker not appear evil because we already know Wesker's evil. We already know the story of Resident Evil 1. So it's very hard to tell a brand new story and somehow make Wesker relatable. Wesker is not relatable at all to anybody on Earth. He's his own type of human. Like this, they had this weird arc in Welcome to Raccoon City where they had to tell this story of, "Oh, I don't know if it's all worth fighting for." Man, that's not Wesker. Wesker's a piece of shit, dude. He don't care about anyone.
They
He
really
cares
did
about himself.
humanize it. This is another instance of the same thing. I think this is almost the same thing as making Leon incompetent to exaggerate the difference between him and other STAR members. They're humanizing Wesker and they're giving him some compassion and some conflict. They're giving him a conscience to grapple with, to sort of illustrate the difference between him and someone who is just straight up playing with evil like Birkin. And so they're increasing that gap there, and they're making it something a little bit more complex to sort of differentiate those two big bads. And one is like he doesn't really want to do it. He just wants to get out of this. What does he say? This dead end life. So like, I think that's part of where that came from. I also don't think like it's satisfying as a fan to watch a very humanized Wesker who has that internal battle. He has an internal battle like Ada has an internal battle. Like he really feels bad about it in Welcome to Raccoon City. That is like you wouldn't traditionally attribute that to Wesker if you're a fan of the games. So I understand that like people wouldn't see that as satisfying to see Welcome to Raccoon City Wesker that way. But I think that's what they wanted to do. I think that's what they wanted to do for like one reboot film. Let's say we didn't go crazy with. They did bring him back though, so it's like it's almost like I'm trying to argue on behalf of the decisions, but it's also like there's that aspect of like there is going to be this greater storyline, but they want to entertain this more like compassionate Wesker.
Yeah.
So
the only time I've seen Welcome to Raccoon City is the time we all went to watch it. That's the only time I've ever seen it. I feel like
I've seen it like 3 or 4 times.
You monster!
I feel like I need to go back and watch it to like.
I like to just like, put it on the back sometimes.
Yeah, just a very, very bizarro bizarro film. Like, I feel like there's still so much, because I do feel sorry for Johannes Roberts, because he's obviously a very talented director, and I know we all dog on Paul W.S. Anderson, but I truly believe anybody that spends a significant period of their life in Resident Evil deserves a bit of respect, to be honest. Like I said, it's to dedicate your life to one IP must be very, very, very difficult.
Mhm.
And I do feel for Johannes Roberts, because he was kind of not only battling with the pandemic, but Constantine also substantially slashed his budget.
Yep.
So I would love, and I've said this to Andrew, Mr. Sorlo, who obviously doesn't care. But I said I would love to kind of get Johannes Roberts in a room and really find out, like, so what was the crack with fucking Resident
sure.
Evil Welcome to Raccoon City? What story did you want to tell? If I gave you $100 million, Mr. Roberts, what story did you want to tell with Resident Evil? Because clearly you knew stuff about Resident Evil. You're not like, respectfully, you're not a fucking idiot. You obviously have done your research on Resident Evil. What did you leave on the cutting room floor that should have gone in, or maybe never even made it because
Right.
of these harsh budget cuts?
Yeah, there are a few things that are alluded to that aren't seen, that aren't actualized, but they're like alluded to by characters. So
Yeah, I honestly would I would do the fucking interview if we brought him to Row or something like that, because like I'd be interested to ask these questions too. I know Andrew doesn't care because he hates everything that movie was. I was like, so do all we do, but like we gotta ask these questions. That's the whole point.
Mhm.
We gotta ask these questions.
Yeah, I agree. And
then hopefully like people learn from that.
Yeah, I think like understanding those thought processes for adaptations for the writing, how to like allocate budget. I think those are like really, I think they're really useful to understand actually.
And that comes on to the new Resident Evil film coming out. Are they going to allocate the same level of budget that they did for Welcome to Raccoon City? And how will Zach best utilize that budget? Because obviously he's talented. I mean, so I don't misquote, I'm actually just going to type Barbarian here. Barbarian 2022. One moment. So budget $4 million, box office $45 million. So you can tell, obviously, Constantine are looking at this and absolutely licking their lips. I would like the idea of not a low budget, because $4 million is, I mean, it's low budget in the grand scheme of things, but it's a modest budget. I would like to see a lower end Resident Evil film where they really look like, to me, Resident Evil is kind of like claustrophobic locations, you know, not knowing what's around the other corner. That could be achieved with a smaller budget. I'm so interested to see what that looks like.
I do think there's a lot of potential to tell like powerful stories on a smaller budget with this universe. I think there's a lot in it that you don't need everything, you know, and you don't need a whole mansion either. You could just have the core pieces, something going on with the character, relate that with the evil that they're facing. I think there's a lot there to do, and that gets me, honestly, that does get me excited though, because, you know, someone who does so much with so little is like, you know, maybe that's what we need, is not necessarily like all the budget, all of the sets looking really good, because they did look really good in Welcome to Raccoon City. We just need someone to get creative and use it in a way that maximizes the effect. So
yeah, total agreement. Total agreement. Outside of, we're gonna start to round the stream off, but one thing I did want to say, obviously we didn't get the Resident Evil 9 announcement, but what if they're not working on a Resident Evil 9? What would you want Capcom to work on next in the Resident Evil universe, and it not be Resident Evil 9? I'll extend that to everybody in the chat, but I'll start off with Tony.
See, that's tough, because like I honestly want to see Outbreak, but I don't want to see it like modernized where it's like over the shoulder kind of stuff, like RE4 and all the newer stuff. I want it to look like it did back then, like, you know, because you can take a smaller budget to make these things, like, you know, downgrade the graphics a little bit, not like like, don't have it look exactly like it did before, but really like put some effort into these things, and you could make Outbreak a game that could go on for quite a while. Or realistically, I would like to see Code Veronica get a remake, because I feel that is like one of the big black sheeps of the family, and there is so much good that is in Code Veronica, but there's so much bad that needs to be taken out, like the damn moss in the hallway that keeps screwing Corey and JJ over every time they fucking play. Expand on Steve's adventure throughout the island. In the S.D. Perry novels, there's sections that have Steve talking about what he's doing on the island. He goes to like I think like an airport, like an outdoor airport or something, or a shipyard that's like completely destroyed from the attack. You could work that into him having to find a piece of one of the puzzles to help them move on to a new area. Like there's so much that you can fix with, like so much stuff that worked for Code Veronica, and then with the remake, you could do so much good with it. So I think ultimately, yeah, like if they're not going to listen to us about the online stuff, then yeah, definitely go with a Code Veronica remake. I would love to see that.
What about you, Borg?
Yeah, honestly, I just want to see more iterations of RE Engine Wesker. I really loved RE4 Remake Wesker. Craig did great. I want to see iterations that are earlier on. Zero Remake would be wonderful. I think diving into that origin story with Wesker and Birkin sort of becoming the early spitting images of Spencer and Marcus, respectively. One is like hands-on with the biological experimentation, and the other one is just trying to usurp and control and build something greater, envisioning something larger. I think those early stories, having that strong foundation for the series, looking at how Progenitor was actually synthesized from the sun and trot flowers into all of these other viruses that we have. I think Zero is like that kind of backbone. A Zero remake that would be like really strong, and then that would lead into like naturally like a CV remake eventually, and then 5. So all of those are like kind of like Wesker entries. Wesker like increasing his involvement through those entries. And I think paving the path for that, setting it up early, Birkin and Marcus kind of dynamic. How did it become what Birkin actually resulted in with his story in RE2 remake? How did Wesker become the man that he is portrayed as at the end of RE4 remake, where we see that Resident Evil's Garden of Eden, those flowers. I think tying all of that together, like Zero and CV, are like the core entries to do that. So
I think I would like to see, like in the early 2000s, we had a lot of like where Capcom were just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, and it was just like tons of different spin-off games. Actually, let's just say 2000 to 2010, we had Dead Aim, we had the Dark Side Chronicles. I would like to see like an isolated, like Billy Cohen, for example, that iconic story he tells about them mowing down that village. Like maybe a story like an isolated location where a biological event happens, and it's how these ordinary people deal with this extraordinary issue. And that's just, to me, that's the fundamental of what Resident Evil is. Solve puzzles along the way. You go to a new area, an isolated location, often claustrophobic, and there's a biological weapon event, and you're an ordinary person in an extraordinary situation, and you've got to try and find your way out of it. We need more stories like that again. We need another Sheena Island type catastrophe.
maybe an Operation Javier.
Yeah,
With
exactly.
Leon and Krauser. Yeah, like an early.
Because the beauty of that is you don't affect, and you could really choose any character. It could be new characters. It could be fucking Billy Cohen. It could be whoever. You could bring Carlos back for an isolated campaign. The true beauty of this is you don't jeopardize the integrity of the the wider Resident Evil lore, like a mainline lore. That's what I feel like we're missing. We're so focusing on producing the next mainline Resident Evil. Why can't we just have a bit of fun?
That's what Tony was saying. Yeah.
Do a Dead Aim type spin-off or a Survivor type spin-off where it's just, you get dropped on an island, you find out a tiny bit more about some shady corporation that's no doubt taking advantage of the local area, and there's a biological weapon. You fight some cool monsters, solve some cool puzzles, and as ever, all ends with the island or wherever it is getting blown up. It's perfect. It's like a completely self-contained story.
That's what I love about entries like this is what I love about the side story so much is that entries like Survivor, looking into the lore, looking at the stress response, looking at norepinephrine, adrenaline, all those underlying like sort of biological components, and then looking at it again in like Revelations 2, because people mutate in response to adrenaline and norepinephrine. So it's like they're feeling fear and stress, the stress response brings out the mutation. That's such a messed up thing to do, like punishing someone for being afraid. And it's like all in the effort of finding a vessel that is impervious to fear. Those kind of like really cool, like creative, little bit divergent stories, but like a highly specific purpose for the virologist in those entries. I think those are just my favorite because they tell you what's going on at a deeper level with the characters, what they're feeling, what their circumstance says about their situation, and just like it gives you a deeper insight into the science. And it's like these human hormonal pieces within all of us, you know, they are now being recontextualized in this like other world in this side story, and they mean something so much more. And those are just such dark entries. Like that's the kind of stuff I want to see definitely more of.
I agree. Man, we're in such a weird time where there's been so much time. I mean, what was it? It's been 2 years since Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yeah,
it was like March 23. Yeah.
We've just had such a lull, a proper lull period. And as I said before, with leaks and rumor videos, it's just Capcom are naturally like expediting these videos being made by not announcing anything, because it's just leaving it up to imagination what it could be. And obviously some people take advantage of it and some people have legitimate information, but it's just so hard to determine what is correct and what isn't. I just want something to get hyped about, because there is no better feeling, especially as a content creator in this space, than when a Resident Evil game is on its way. Like, it feels like International Fight Week. Like, it's going to be amazing. Everybody, like the whole community is engaged. Everyone's just trying to find a little trickle of information. Like, remember when Village came out? I was watching every single live stream Capcom put out. Didn't even matter if it was in English. I remember having fucking Alex O'Neill. Alex O'Neill on the on a live stream, and we was watching a Japanese. We thought we'd get some Village news. We was watching some Japanese Capcom show. We had Alex O'Neill live translating the show.
Oh, that's
like
crazy.
The guys were talking. He was translating it for the audience. It was mental. But that's just the drive, man.
Wasn't that Tokyo Game Show? And that was the first time we heard like the lichens roaring, and we're like, holy crap, that sounds so good. But they didn't like show a lot of it. It was just like you hear and you watch people's face, which is like a really interesting kind of like marketing kind of approach, because you don't see the footage. You just see the people's reaction to the footage and you hear the footage.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, it's like really cool. But yeah, that was quite an era. I have to step away pretty soon for a meeting. But if you guys can keep hanging out.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, we've pretty much wrapped up the scope of what we were discussing anyway. But listen, it's been an adventurous night. I think we topped out at something like 2,500 live viewers, which is certainly a highest record that I've been in a Row live stream. So thank you everybody that's joined us on this journey. Obviously not the most glorified show for a Resident Evil fan, but there was certainly some good content in there that we should be looking forward to in 2025. And I suppose all I would say is all eyes are going to be on this June-July Capcom show, which is rumored to be taking place, because that appears to be the big one.
For sure.
Have you guys got any last kind of closing comments before we wrap up?
No, just as always, guys, thank you for coming here and hanging with us and supporting our channel. We greatly appreciate it. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks everyone. It was some goodies to look forward to for sure. I think Onimusha is still like my most anticipated title right now. But yeah, definitely look out for that June show.
Yeah, all eyes on that.
Mhm.
On that June show. But yeah, thank you everybody. If you're not following the Residents of Evil, please consider subscribing to us today. Again, dedicated Resident Evil and survival horror content creators. One of the biggest platforms on YouTube. We cover live streams, got live shows every Friday and daily content in the space. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good one, and hopefully we will see all of you very soon in the Residents of Evil.